felt like God was telling me to share this. And it says this: God, listen to you today. You held on during the toughest times. I gave you strength to endure that. At times you didn't even know it was me. When things changed for you, many left you and wrote you off. But not only did you endure the storm, you grew in the storm. You are different. I did not create you to fit in. I created you to stand out. Now I'm about to bless your faithfulness. I'm about to take you to levels you've never even thought were possible. Receive that in the name of Jesus. I don't know who that's for, but I love you. Felt like I would.
Pretty strong to start off. You have been fighting all this time. Oh, I need a light. Hang on. The skies are dark here today. We got storms coming through. Not that that's always a bad thing, you know, because we can always use rain, but yeah, just don't need it during a podcast, frankly. You know. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is having a good day today. I know it's afternoon or evening for some of you, but you know, we kind of go off of the Pacific Standard Time. You know, what can I say? What can I say? What can I say? Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. We got a lot of stuff to cover. I've been gone for a few days. I needed to. I actually had a podcast scheduled for yesterday morning. And I was just getting ready to click the button and everything, and then memories just kind of started flowing, and I just kind of had to take the day for myself. Kind of needed to do that. Sometimes we have to in order to keep our heads in check, keep ourselves in check, and be able to, you know, just move along a little bit at a time. You know, it's not always fun to think about those that are no longer with us, and definitely not an easy. There's absolutely no easy way to go through thinking about people who aren't with us anymore. You know, but all right. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into this X feed and get started. Let me get this hammer killed because I know it's going to be messing with us if we don't. Get rid of that and turn this off. Wait a minute. Why did you do that? Wait a second, guys. My computer's acting stupid. I got good signal. Let's try that again. There we go. I think Windows might be trying to do another update. Give me a second here to put a stop to this, if that is what's going on. And yes, once again, they're trying to install Windows 11 on my phone. I don't want it. Leave me alone. Stop harassing me. Okay, I figured I'd start us off with a funny. That way there it kind of sets the mode for the day, you know. Here we go.
Yes, can I speak with Tom May?
Who's calling?
So this is Mike. You've been selected to receive a complete digital satellite system for free. With this, you're going to...
Let me ask you something. Did you know Tom May? Were you a friend of his?
No, I'm not. I'm just calling to...
Hold that thought. Hold on 1 second, all right? Hey, guys, get really good pictures of the body. Yeah, dust everything down for prints. Mike, you there?
Yeah.
Let me bring you up to speed. You've actually called a murder scene. Mr. Mabe is no longer with us. I'm Officer Clark. I'm conducting a homicide investigation. I want to ask you a series of questions. First of all, what was the nature of the business you had with Tom Mabe?
I had no business with him. I'm sorry to apologize.
No, hold on. Look, I want to ask you to stay on the phone. this call's already been traced, and we may need you to come in for further questioning.
You don't understand. I'm just calling on...
No, look, you don't understand. Unless you want to be charged with obstruction of justice, it's imperative you keep your ass on the phone, Mike.
Well, how about you just talk with my supervisor then?
No, look, we'll get your supervisor in a second. Here, first of all, give me your whereabouts.
I'm at work.
You're at work?
Yes.
You being a smartass?
No, sir.
Let me put it to you this way, Mike. Say I want to mail your ass a letter. What would I have to write on the outside of that envelope to assure the mailman would deliver it right to your ass? Geographically speaking, Mike, where is work?
40 West Littleton, Colorado.
Hold on, that's...
Yes, sir.
Mike, hold on 1 second, all right? Yeah. Get the little police department homicide division on the phone. Yeah, give him this information. They can tell him he's being sought in connection with a fatal shooting and aggravated robbery. How did you know Mr. Mabe again?
Well, wait, you're calling the Littleton Police Department? I'm hundreds of miles away. I don't even know the guy. I'm in Colorado.
Don't let that scare you. That's just a formality. I mean, have you ever been to his place of residence? No. Tell me again, Mike, where were you last night between the hours of 8 and 10?
I'm not feeling real comfortable about any of this.
Have you even ever spoken with Mr. Mabe, Mike?
No, I haven't. I don't even know the guy. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Okay. Calm down. Hold on. Look, just back up. I got one more question for you, Mike. As you well know, I'm sure, Mr. Mabe was a flaming homosexual. There's no easy way of asking that. I don't want to embarrass you or nothing, but were you his gay lover?
What? No. What the hell kind of a question?
Look. If gay's your way, that's okay. I still know there's a lot of you gay people in that closet. I'm not saying I haven't thought about myself. You know? Say I was in Las Vegas or something, buy a couple drinks, cute little Mexican midget. Sam Barrel.
Cute little Mexican midget. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So, and then we got to start off with a little bit of cuteness. Just a little bit of cuteness. Just a little bit. You're not going to overload you or anything like that. Here we go.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Fire, boy, make a big noise playing in the tree. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face. Big disgrace. Can get your again all over your place. Singing
Good job,
rock you.
man.
You just got to have some cuteness first thing in the morning. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's start getting into some more serious stuff. Legends of the Giant Indians. Yeah, we've been talking about this off and on for the last couple of years. It seems that more and more stuff is coming out about this and the fact of what's been going on with this Smithsonian Institute and stuff. Here we go.
All across North America, in nearly every state, there are ancient earthworks, from Serpent Mound to the Cahokia Pyramids in Illinois, to sprawling effigy mound complexes all across the nation. Buried underneath these mounds, early Americans discovered something incredible, something that has been completely removed from our history books. Early American settlers discovered giant human skeletons at nearly every one of these ancient mound sites, ranging all the way up to 18 feet in height. This mysterious race of giants, which are now known as the Mound Builders, are not talked about in any official history textbook and seems to have been completely removed from the modern academic world, even though there are countless accounts of archaeologists studying these bones when they were first discovered in early America. But it seems that today, no one is willing to talk about them for reasons unknown. Modern archaeologists will refer to these cultures that existed before the Native Americans, but with all references to giants removed. Whoever removed these giants from the official history has failed to remove every trace of them, as there are countless thousands of historical and newspaper accounts of the bones being discovered and living giants being encountered by early explorers, still available to the public. In the North American cases of giant remains being uncovered in the burial mounds, the newspaper reports that the bones were shipped off to the Smithsonian research complexes and never heard from again. According to the accounts, anyone who discovered giant remains and then sent them to the Smithsonian and then requested information about the status of their investigation receives a letter back stating that they have never received human remains, or that they have been, quote, reclassified as something like mastodon bones. Researchers have been trying to understand how and why this could have happened for over 100 years, and it seems that the most likely theory for why the bones have been hidden from the public is to give support to evolutionary theory.
Yeah. Nobody wants to believe. Nobody wants to believe. But they're going to. They're gonna. All right. Remember all the ammo purchased by government agencies during Barack Obama's administration, Eve says. Remember Barack Obama saying we need civilian force larger than our military? Now add immigration. I think they're building an army. Yeah.
Happily. They come from Africa. They come from Asia. They come from all over the world. They come from the Middle East, Yemen. We're bombing Yemen. Here we go with the bombs again. We're bombing Yemen. And people are coming in from Yemen. Large numbers of people are coming in from China. And if you look at these people, did you see them? They are physically fit. They're 19 to 25. Almost everyone is a male. And they look like fighting age. I think they're building an army. They had 29,000 people over the last. I think they're building, they want to get us from within. I think they're building an army. This is not, it's interesting. Did you see them? They all have tents. They all have gas-fired stoves. I mean, this is not like an illegal immigrant. They're building something. They have something in mind. We're going to end all of that stuff. They respected your president happily. They come from Africa. They come from Asia.
Just as a response to that, it's we have two mail ladies out here, and one of them is now in the hospital. So we received notice on Thursday that one of them was in the hospital, and that our mail may be delayed by a day or two. In order to get everything, but they said that they should have a substitute coming in the next 48 hours is what it said. But I give them it's I figure I'll oh yeah, if you send it by Cash App, then I received it. Yes. Sorry. Dang. I got a couple of Cash Apps on Thursday, I think it was, that I hadn't responded to yet. It's this whole 3-day weekend thing just had me all messed up and everything. So Memorial Day always gets me. I have a lot of friends who passed. That served, and my brain was pretty much stuck on them, pretty much for the whole weekend. So we just deal with what we got to deal with. All right, beware of foreign males. Here we go.
We have new information tonight concerning that story we broke last night about security concerns near major U.S. installations. One incident involving some of the nation's most elite warriors remains perplexing. Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin is again at the Pentagon tonight with this. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Brett. New developments tonight in the mysterious shooting in Carthage, North Carolina, outside a U.S. Army Special Forces residence involving an elite U.S. soldier and 2 Chechen males who immigrated from Russia. At least one lived in Chicago, but neither name so far appear in any national databases. And I'm told both were here illegally. We've now learned that the phones collected at the scene have been taken to an Army base for analysis. To recap briefly, on Friday, May 3rd at 8:15 p.m., an Army colonel reported an altercation with a possible trespasser near his home. The individual was reportedly taking photos near the colonel's home with a telephoto lens under a power line in a wooded area. A fight ensued, shots were fired, and the alleged trespasser died. Quote, upon arrival, deputies discovered the body of 35-year-old Ramzan Daryev from Chicago, Illinois, who appeared to have sustained gunshot wounds. Daryev was reported to have been working as a subcontractor for Utilities One, a company based in New Jersey, at the time of his death. Investigators are still working to verify his employment status. At the time of the incident, Daryev was not in possession of any utility equipment, utility clothing, or identification. We have attempted to reach out to Daryev's family, who set up a change.org petition for the new Russian immigrant, who they say was shot despite seeking a new life in America. Fox News has reached out repeatedly to Utilities One, a foreign-registered New Jersey-based company founded in 2016 by a young CEO from Moldova, who founded the firm 3 years after moving to the U.S. and working as a dishwasher and selling ice in Alaska. The company was incorporated on December 20th, 2023, and according to its website, provides, quote, infrastructure solutions for telecommunications providers, electric and gas utilities, wireless carriers, and the technology deployment sector. The company's vice president of fulfillment and infrastructure is from Russia as well. Again, Brett, we have reached out to Utilities One repeatedly today by phone and email to confirm Daryev's employment and to get a statement about his death. All calls go directly to voicemail, and our emails have gone unanswered. The Moore County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina also tells us they have not been able to make contact with Utilities One. Brett?
Yeah, it's a bizarre story, and there is concern, especially from those families down there, those special operations forces. Jen, it does come as we are hearing about an uptick in what appear to be probing incidents or surveillance at U.S. military bases across the country.
That's right, Brett. Special operations forces have reported many suspicious surveillance activities of them and their families of late, and the military has seen an uptick of foreigners probing near or on U.S. military bases. Earlier today, the head of U.S. Fleet Forces, the Navy's Fleet Forces, told Bill Hemmer, that his name is Admiral Daryl Caudle of U.S. Fleet Forces Command. He said, this thing of our military base is getting penetrated by foreign nationals. It's happening more and more. You know, this is something we have probably happen 2 or 3 times a week. I understand we have his bites. Let's hear from him himself.
Our military base is getting penetrated by foreign nationals. It's happening more and more. You know, this is something we see probably 2 or 3 times a week, where we're stopping these folks at the gate. Typically, we get NCIS involved with those, and we get biometrics when possible. But yes, there's been an uptick in that.
Brett, we will keep reporting on the case in Carthage, North Carolina, about what this mysterious case, which again has many in the special operations community very spooked. Brett?
Yeah. Jennifer Griffin, live at the Pentagon. Jennifer.
Kind of weird that these things are going on all over the country, right? You know, is kind of nuts. Senator Kennedy doing what Senator Kennedy does best. Call him out.
You're a professor from California, is that right?
Yes.
And you were invited here as an expert today by our Democratic colleagues?
Yes.
Okay. According to you and the center, quote, the immigration enforcement system is built on white supremacy, economic exploitation, and criminalization, and must be dismantled. End quote. Is that correct?
I'm not aware of that statement.
Here it is, right from your website, and you're on the board of directors. Do you believe that our immigration system is built on white supremacy?
No, sir.
Well, you said it, Professor. Now, did you lie here, or are you lying to us today that the immigration enforcement system in America today is, quote, built on white supremacy?
That's not my statement.
Yes, it is.
That's not my statement.
You're on the board. It's built on economic exploitation, and it's built on criminalization, and it must be dismantled. You also say that you want to, quote, strategically push ICE out of our communities across California, end quote. Wow.
So an extensive body of research shows that interior immigration enforcement, to the extent that ICE partners with local police, has chilling effects across immigrant communities and their families.
You think getting rid of ICE is going to help young women not be raped and murdered by MS-13 gang members? Is that your answer to
No, that's
bringing
not.
justice?
No, that's not. You are attributing a statement to me that I did not make.
Yes, sir, you did. It's on your website.
Time has expired, Senator. I think it's inappropriate to call people liars in this hearing. I hope that we'll be very careful. The witnesses are under oath, and to say that they are lying is to accuse them of something close to a crime. And I think that term should be careful to use.
Yeah. I think that Dick Durbin is a piece of crap. Yeah, I said that.
60 seconds on your popcorn. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this play out.
Brought up or asked a lot, which is why are we attacking Trump's inner circle, or why are we attacking the people that are defending Trump? And for one, like if you believe, like when Trump brought on Fauci, that he was bringing him in to put him in the spotlight so he could be exposed, and it's like keeping your enemies closer, because he appeared to, at least like Fauci or be cool with Fauci in the beginning, and as things progressed, but you knew, like we knew that he's not putting Fauci in because he thinks Fauci's going to do the best job.
To expose him.
He brought Fauci in to put him in the spotlight and to put him front and center.
Right.
And I think that's what he does with a lot of these dudes, a lot of these rhinos. And I think people think the only rhinos that he's referring to, or that there are like the Liz Cheneys and
5 of them.
Jan Crenshaws and the Mitt Romneys and the Lindsey Grahams. But if you're reading his truths, then like he's obviously not just talking about those people. Like, for instance, the other day when he said that Truth is doing really well and has truly become our MAGA voice, but also a voice for the rhinos and the radical left. So my question is, what rhinos is he talking about? Because Dan Crenshaw, Liz Cheney, Rick Scott, Mitch McConnell, DeSantis, Romney, Pence, Graham, Kissinger, none of those dudes are on Truth. So what rhinos is he talking about?
Exactly.
What radical left loonies is he talking about?
And people
because none of those dudes are on there. So, I mean, that kind of leaves the Flynn network and, the usual suspects. That's all I'm saying. And he clearly is telling you that he has like fake defenders and supporters when he says so much talk back and forth, including from my many patriotic, in quotation marks, defenders and supporters. Trump's not stupid. He knows. Just like all these people acting like they're defending him against the witch hunt, and he's going to get indicted and arrested. Like he says, the fake news, mainstream media, Democrats, and rhinos are obsessed with pushing the witch hunt against me. Why? Because they're doing things like grift ops, like Marjorie Taylor Greene selling defund the FBI and enemy of the state, merchandise.
Interesting, huh? Yeah. Yep. We've been talking about how we have been watching all of this going on with there we go. Hang on. I'm doing two things at once here. Okay. Lisa, here you go. Okay. Yep. How he puts them all out there for everybody to see. It's the only way you can catch on to it is sometimes having things pointed right out at you. Yeah. Shipwreck says Trump at Libertarian National Convention.
Trump spoke last night at the Libertarian National Convention, and the environment there was kind of hostile, which is interesting because they invited him there to speak in the first place, and he is the only former president to have ever agreed to speak at the Libertarian National Convention. Got some booze.
Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you, D-Roy. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years. The reasons for doing so.
That was monologue following up by him asking the Libertarians to support him in the 2024 presidential election. He also got some cheers.
Commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht.
Ross Ulbricht is a man who has been in prison since 2013 when he created a free e-commerce website when he was only 26 years old. The way I understand it, he created this website so you could buy and sell stuff without being tracked by the government, essentially. I think that was the idea behind it, but what had happened was people then were getting on there and buying and selling things that they weren't supposed to be, things that were illegal. Commonly small amounts of marijuana. Joe Biden says nobody should be sitting in jail for. That's for another video. Anyway, they threw the book at the kid. He's got like 2 life sentences. He didn't even kill nobody. Now, I know the Libertarian Party is very much into less government, smaller government, the sovereignty side of things, that we are all of our own accord. And I agree with a lot of that, especially the less government, especially the smaller government. Not really sure why there was such a harsh welcoming for Donald Trump when he went to speak at their convention. If you take out all the things that Donald Trump says that pisses people off and you go back and look at what he did, he is doing things the way that libertarians want them to be done. The majority of the big major decisions that need to be made are being handed back to the states. That has always kind of been Trump's thing. Like, he doesn't think the federal government should be handling a lot of these things. And so he is giving that power back to the state, creating a smaller government. State powers are also much easier to change than they are at a federal level. It's much easier for you to run for state government, local government. It's much easier for you to keep track of what they're doing, where they're going, what they're saying. I don't know. If you're a full-blown libertarian, let me know your thoughts. But the reviews after the Libertarian National Convention are still pretty mixed. On to the next.
And I'm actually going to show you an update to that here in a few minutes. Overwhelmingly, Donald Trump got the endorsement of the Libertarian Party, and Robert Kennedy got practically 2%. 2%. Yeah, people are waking up, especially where it comes to these things. All right. Well, they followed the money and look what they found.
Well, I wanted to bring to everybody's attention something that doesn't get much attention, and you've heard the term follow the money. So I looked up, where did Follow the Money? I thought it was from a Tom Cruise movie, but it wasn't. It was from Watergate. And Follow the Money is what they did in Watergate, and we saw what happened. So my young staffer, who's very bright, and I see him over there, Adam Pack, followed the money. And the money is from the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. So in the name of green and environmental justice, there's over $40 billion that are going to be granted out through the EPA. So with this great research that was done, what was discovered that in December, the EPA granted $50 million to an organization called Climate Justice Alliance. So we went to the website of Climate Justice Alliance. This is what we found on the website, that our taxpayer dollars are going to organizations such as this. This at the bottom is a picture of the bulldozer that went through the fence when Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th. They have a rendering on their website. It says decolonize Palestine, and it has a picture of that same bulldozer going through that fence. If you dig deeper, they want to defund the police, defund the military, either them or their affiliates want to have very radical, drastic initiatives that I think are anti-American. And they're certainly anti-Israel and anti-Semitic.
So the Biden administration doesn't seem to care. $50 million in December. Who knows how much more in the future, and other like groups, because there are other associated groups with this group. There's no inspector general for EPA to follow the money because they don't care. Because all they care about is the mission, the climate mission, no matter what the radical ideas that are associated with the groups. So then you could ask yourself, is this group really going to be funding climate, cleaning up the water and cleaning up the soil and cleaning up the air? Or are they going to be funding things like the protests they had in Hart just several weeks ago, where several of them were arrested? So follow the money. We're going to be doing that in the Environment and Public Works Committee. That's where the derivation of this was. And I find it rather startling to me that the EPA is not doing, and the administration are not doing any better research as to where American taxpayer dollars are going.
Yeah, and that's another 3-letter agency that needs to be shut down and shut down permanently. Yep. Illuminati bot says surprised Fox even aired this. Yeah, let's take a listen.
Pedophile Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. So why do we still know nothing about him? Well, we're finding out tonight some answers. The Wall Street Journal just got its hands on Jeffrey Epstein's private calendar, and it was a lot more suspicious than Brett Kavanaugh's. Epstein was meeting with the kind of people you'd think would steer clear of a convicted pedophile. Jeffrey Epstein was meeting with one of Barack Obama's top lawyers, Catherine Rumler. She met with Epstein dozens of times. Epstein even tried to set up Obama's lawyer to work for Bill Gates. How is Jeffrey Epstein a fixer between Obama's lawyer and Bill Gates? Epstein was also meeting with Joe Biden's CIA director. He wasn't CIA director at the time. He was Barack Obama's deputy secretary of state. William Burns was working for John Kerry at the State Department and meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, a known pedophile. And then Burns becomes CIA director. Today's director of the CIA went to Epstein's Manhattan townhouse where Epstein had sex with underage girls and, where he filmed other men having sex with underage girls. And William Burns went there and was then promoted to the director of the CIA. Now, I wonder if the future CIA director saw the portrait of Bill Clinton in a blue dress hanging in Epstein's parlor room. A few years later, Epstein was arrested and then hung himself in a jail cell while security cameras just happened to not be working, and the replacement guards just happened to fall asleep. And 2 years later, Biden just happens to pick William Burns to run the CIA. So what are we supposed to think? It's never been more clear. Epstein was an intelligence asset. Not only was he working for the CIA, Israeli intelligence, maybe even Russia intelligence. So was the American government allowing an asset to traffic and molest teenage girls all over the world for intelligence? Were we allowing Epstein to commit crimes against children for blackmail material? Well, we asked the CIA director, William Burns, why were you meeting with a convicted pedophile at his disgusting townhouse? And the CIA director said this: the director did not know anything about him, other than that he was introduced as an expert in the financial services sector and offered general advice on transition to the private sector. They had no relationship. So Obama's State Department official couldn't have asked anybody else in the entire country for help with a job in finance? He could have called any CEO, any hedge fund manager, any banking director. But he meets with Jeffrey Epstein, a guy that doesn't even really have a real business, a guy that doesn't even have a website, a guy that, as far as we know, only had one client, the CEO of Victoria's Secret. That doesn't add up, Burnsy. And this explains the sweetheart deal back in 2006. This explains the prison cell cover-up. And this explains why all the Epstein tapes went missing. Everything Epstein recorded, everything, missing. Every property he owned. But when he died, the Fed seized all the tapes, and the only person who's ever been arrested since then was the madam. Maxwell.
Jeffrey Epstein found me almost immediately. He knew exactly where I was, the location. And I knew then that I was being filmed. I was being watched 24/7. There were cameras all over the island.
So the CIA has all the sex tapes, and they've been blackmailing like crazy. This is the blackmail jackpot. Hours of video starring the world's most important people in Epstein Island, and the Manhattan townhouse, and the Palm Beach estate, and the New Mexico ranch. Bill Clinton was good pals with Jeffrey. Flew on the Lolita Express 26 times, went to his private island. So when someone does something that doesn't make any sense, maybe it's because they don't want to be doing what they're doing. Maybe it's because someone's telling them what to do and threatening to release the tapes if they don't.
Interesting. Interesting. Here's another interesting one for you. So, Script Keeper says, this guy literally made the mark of the beast and then repented and is a Christ believer.
My responsibility was project leader or the senior project engineer. We began to work on the design of a microchip that, when it was completed, was 0.75 millimeters in diameter, 7 millimeters long. It was the size of 1/4 of a grain of rice. Again, I want to say that I was not a Christian and there were no Christians there. They said they wanted this to have a power source and be able to emit a signal. And they told us they wanted us to use lithium as a battery source. Lithium's used in watch batteries. It's used in heart pacemaker batteries. It's used in a lot of places. I designed into this microchip a little charging circuit that would charge that battery. This sounds like a lot of technical things coming together, but if you'll bear with me 1 minute, you'll see what God has laid out about this microchip. When we discovered that we needed to be able to charge that battery, I needed a temperature change, a change in temperature to cause current to flow through that little charging circuit that would charge the battery. So we began to investigate and find out where in the body does the temperature change the most rapidly. We spent over $1 million in taxpayer money, and when the results came back, there was a lot of information. We divided it up amongst 3 teams and then came back together with that information. It was determined that there were 2 places in the body that were ideal for the microchip. One was just below the hairline on the forehead. Every mother checks their child's temperature right here. So we could have paid the mothers $1 million and saved. I never saw a mother check their child's temperature on their ankle, always right here. The other place was the hand, the right hand preferred, because most people are right-handed. This didn't bother me, and it didn't bother anybody else on the team. The hand seemed a good place. Nobody wanted it here. And so the design work, everything was completed. The microchip was done. You're seeing it now on some of the Discovery Channel presentations. There are people who have received it already. It is real. It's not something that's coming way down the road. They gave me a Bible. They told me not to read the book of Revelation. They said the book of Revelation is too hard to understand. So I waited, and I didn't read the book of Revelation for quite some time. Then one day I came to Revelation 13, verse 16. And he caused us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. I didn't like what I saw. I went back and looked up the word mark. I went to the Strong's Concordance, and I found that John had used 3 words for the word mark. Charagma, charicature, and charax. That was from the Greek. I looked at those words. They talked about a scratch or an etching. They talked about a lot of things. And I said, God, this isn't it. We didn't do it. He said, go to the word for 666. The word is chixastigma. In the Greek, it says to go to 4742 as a cross. The last half of the word chixastigma. And when I looked at what it says stizo, i.e. to stick, to prick, a mark incised or punched into for recognition of ownership. I thought about the little injection tool. The end of it is called an incisor. I began to weep and I began to cry, and I said, oh God, what have we done? I couldn't believe that this lined up with what we had developed. And I began to run from God. I didn't run away from the church. I ran into the church. I tried to do as many things as I could to atone for this. But I want to tell you something. As God is my witness here tonight, this got in the way. Money got in the way. I had beautiful homes overlooking the lake. I had all the things that I wanted. And I ran because of the money. My ability to go and get $250,000 in research money took me away from telling the message. I ran for many years. What I want to tell you is that this is real. The microchip implant is real. Credit cards are failing. They can be counterfeited. The new smart card can be counterfeited. They can be stolen. They can be lost. All kinds of things can happen to a card. But you cannot lose your hand. Very quickly, they're going to move to this being in the hand. And I tell you, as a Christian, you cannot take this. No matter what anybody says, God's word says you cannot take it. No matter what they try to talk you into, God's word says don't take it. In Revelation 14, verse 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. It's very simple. God's word says do not take it. Today, there have been over 15,000 babies that have been given the positive identification, the microchip. Many companies are using the microchip as identification in their top-level employees. The Immigration Naturalization Service has a better passport, the human hand. So many of these things are all around us. We talk about the signs of the New World Order. God has spelled out in his word just exactly what's going on today in the New World Order. Satan desires to have a one world government. From the time he fell, he said, I want a one world government. He wants to replace God. And so we see a government put together by men, a one world government. The signs of the times are all around us.
Crazy, huh? Yeah. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. American Cattle Rancher says there's a major problem happening.
I do not want houses built on my farm. Yeah. I'm not going to let it happen. Good. Conservation easements, whatever we got to do, we're going to do that. It's not going to have houses growing on it. There's too much of rural America right now. The darn, it just makes me, it irks me. We lost a 180 acre grass farm down the road from it. Beautiful farm. It's growing 18 houses. Guy bought it, brought a surveyor, split it all up. We're 30 miles from Columbia. He put a dang subdivision down there. What's he thinking? It's all about, if we're not careful, we're gonna cover up all of our agriculture productive land with houses.
Yeah.
Now we're in trouble. You can't grow food on it.
No.
Because these idiots, they buy 20 acres and they mow it with a lawnmower.
Yeah. And fertilize it with
nitrogen fertilizer just to make it look pretty.
And
They're
it
not
runs
growing,
off.
it's not growing any food.
Yep.
It's like, what are you doing? If you're gonna mow your yard, go in town and get you a little lot. Don't mow 20 acres.
They're mowing 20 acres.
Yes. 20 acres. They've got these mowers like you're mowing a golf course.
Yeah.
They're like 16, 20 feet wide.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what are you doing? It looks pretty.
Right.
It looks pretty. You know how much,
Yeah. Farms everywhere. Everywhere. All right. Terrence Howard had a message. Here we go.
Dear world, I have been told by many that the releasing of this truth may pose certain challenges in my life. There are many institutions that this truth will be viewed as disruptive to their system of profit and gains. I want to live a happy and peaceful life, and I pray for longevity. Not just for me, but for our entire species. Know that I would never harm myself nor anyone else for that matter. Nevertheless, my life has to face certain challenges so that this planet can be saved. Please do not let these trials that I may have to face be in vain, and pray for me as I am praying for you. Sincerely, Terrence Deshaun Howard, May 25th, 2019. Just so that it would always be known, I should never walk out there alone or harm myself. So if something happens to me and someone says that he committed what he did, no, I would never, ever do that. Know that somebody else did that. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Benjamin, I haven't seen any evidence of that yet, but I don't doubt anything anymore. Andy No put this out. Portland police is seeking help in identifying 3 Roma-looking men who were recorded pickpocketing a 93-year-old victim at Costco in Northeast Portland on May 9th. The surveillance video shows the suspects targeting multiple people. And this is basically what they did. This is a 94-year-old man. Yep. Just pickpocketing away. You can definitely tell what they're up to. I mean, just look at their sporadic walking and everything else. They're watching the traffic. They're watching how people are watching them. And they'll go back over and they'll wait until somebody else comes along. Yep. Yep. Crazy. Crazy. All right. Question is, Mr. Freedom Stick, Says, how much more do you need to see? I think we've seen quite enough, but we'll keep looking.
How much more do you need to go through? How much more do you need to see to understand that your corrupt politicians sold you out to these globalist entities? These same globalist entities that create these events worldwide so that you ultimately accept their solutions. Whatever happens next, if you value your life, your liberty, do not comply.
Do not comply. Period. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Just don't do it. Nature Girl says, what happened?
How much more do you need to?
They had 2 wars. The first Pyramid War almost eradicated them, but they started over again. The second Pyramid War, that one almost decimated the planet. There's only one reference in the Sumerian tablets that references the people that the evil wind took them over and their hair fell out and their nails fell off and their eyes were bleeding. It's like radiation sickness. You see how when you look at Earth, like from Google Earth, you see a lot of those big deserts going across. People say, oh, that's just natural geological formations over time. This has become an arid desert. No, that's war. If you go to Egypt and stick your hand deep in the sands, eventually you're going to come up with balls of glass. How can you get glass and sand? 3,000 plus degree temperatures. You go to Mohenjo-Daro in the Indus Valley, what are you going to see there? Dead bodies still in the streets from thousands of years ago, still holding hands, never been scavenged. The buildings that they lived in turned to glass. How can that be? We're talking about 3,000 plus degree temperature weapons fire.
Weapons fire.
They had 2 wars.
You have to ask yourself, exactly how far advanced are our weapons? Yeah. Remind you of Lahaina at all? Yeah, maybe. All right. Judge Merchan is out of control and just moved to try and explicitly rig the case against real Donald Trump.
Hey everyone, quick Trump trial update. Judge Merchan is out of control. He's the Democrat donor judge who yesterday went ballistic in the court, screamed, cleared the courtroom out. He seems to be in potential violation of judicial ethics rules in his misbehavior at the trial yesterday. Here's the relevant rule. A judge shall be patient, dignified, and courteous to litigants, jurors, witnesses, lawyers, and others with whom the judge deals with in an official capacity. Judge Merchan was none of those yesterday, and he should be held accountable. And on top of all of that, today, Judge Merchan issued jury instructions or ruled on them that essentially would rig a guilty verdict against Trump. This is what he found, according to Politico. To find Trump guilty of felony-level falsification of business documents, the jury must unanimously find that Trump falsified the documents in order to commit or conceal a separate crime. But the jurors do not all have to agree on what that separate crime was, according to Judge Merchan. I tell you, is there a more lawless approach to a jury trial than to, in the end, allow jurors to individually pick unknown crimes over which then to convict someone? It is a banana republic kangaroo court up in New York. Hey, everyone, quick Trump trial.
We know it. You know it. The world knows it. Yep. The man who wanted to be left alone. Here we go.
Wanted to be left alone. The most terrifying force of death comes from the hands of men who wanted to be left alone. They try very hard to mind their own business and provide for themselves and those they love. They resist every impulse to fight back, knowing the force and permanent change of life that will come from it. They know that the moment they fight back, their lives, as they have lived them, are over. The moment the men who wanted to be left alone are forced to fight back, it is a form of suicide. They are literally killing off who they used to be, which is why, when forced to take up violence, these men who wanted to be left alone fight with an unholy vengeance against those who murdered their former lives. They fight with raw hate and a drive that cannot be fathomed by those who are merely play acting at politics and terror. True terror will arrive at these people's door, and they will cry, scream, and beg for mercy, but it will fall upon the deaf ears of the men who just wanted to be left alone. The men...
I don't think it can get any plainer than that. We just wanted to be left alone. And unfortunately, you have pulled us into this mess. And you're going to regret it in the long run. And our lives will change forever because of that. Now for a little funny. The best Indian English accent and commentator ever. Here we go.
And what a game here as Johnson kicks towards the goal, and oh my God, Singh makes a fantastic save. But I believe he hit his nuts on the goalpost. He is down. Let us have a closer look at instant replay. Not only just self-sacrifice on this play, but sacrificing future generations as well. Obviously going all out for his team, saving the ball right here, but also losing two on the play, putting his balls on the line. Let us have a moment of silence for this man's fallen brothers. As you see right here, he got to the ball and so did the goalpost. Not only taking one for the team, he took two. Talk about going balls out for a play. With that being said, I would like to take this time to recommend you all to see the Nutcracker movie coming out this winter. Wow, this game is absolutely nuts.
Just because we got to have stuff to laugh about in the midst of all of this. All right, we've got to. Oh, right. All right, Shipwreck says, so we've defunded mainstream media just to have paid propaganda picked up by influencers on social media. To say I'm disappointed would be an understatement. I really thought this would be the change that gets people to recognize what's happening and stand on their own to replace it. Here we go.
Who is that right there? I'm sure we're all very well aware of who Pearlmania is, right? He wouldn't give us biased news, would he? Or who V from Under the Desk News is, right? They definitely wouldn't give us biased news, would they? What are you doing? What are you doing in this picture with the selfie with this motherfucking piece of shit? Here, let's get a close-up. What do you see wrong with this picture? Oh, there's good old Harry, who's known for spewing bullshit-ass propaganda on this app. Oh, and there was supposedly a special briefing for V and other content creators ahead of the ceremony. I wonder what was discussed in that special briefing. Honestly, if people can't realize that there's two motherfucking sides to the same motherfucking coin at this point, you're just choosing to remain dual-minded.
I was right. And the way that you guys dragged me off the internet for this shit was sad.
RFK Jr., who wants to be president of the United States, used to have brain
Well,
worms.
then
What are you doing there? Why are you going after third-party candidates? Kind of seems like they're picking a side.
Okay, I'm going to try to explain this in the most succinct way possible because I feel like the political climate in this country is so volatile that a lot of people have kind of skirted past the critical thinking part. I was at the same conference in DC as Pearlmania. That's me and Khalil Green. Other creators like Conscious Lee and Jolly Good Ginger and V from Under the Desk News and I'm Legally Hype. We were all there and we were all in DC for this conference. The reason being is that many creators on this platform, including myself and others, have worked with different organizations centered around progressive political activism. And due to how much attention all of us get to our respective platforms and how much people trust us over some random NBC figurehead to give them their information, all types of political bodies and actors, from congresspeople to senators to the White House to other political organizations, have been trying to build inroads with us to get a focus on our audience, see what they care about, what they're talking about, and how they can best disseminate information to us based off of what they're doing and what policy proposals they're going after. The conference was hosted by Trending Up. They covered the expenses and travel for a lot of the creators, and the other organizations that those creators have been working with also contributed to things like travel and food and their experience there. I'm not one of the creators who got to go to the White House. A few creators did, and that depended on what organization or agency you're currently working with, and that was set up prior to this event. But myself and other creators did get to meet with congressional staffers in a closed session, probably similar to the one that happened in the White House. I also personally met a ton of creators, including Pearlmania, and I even got his number, so we did talk a lot. They asked us to not record in the closed session, probably in an effort to avoid putting the identities of the congressional staffers like on blast to social media for them to get flooded by a bunch of stuff from people who disagree with the Congress people who they work for. But we essentially got to talk to them about the better ways in which they can work with us to disseminate information to us based off of what they're doing in Washington so we can inform our audiences. And I got to even talk to a couple of them about the hypocrisy of voting to ban TikTok like their bosses did, and then inviting all of us to DC to talk about what we can do to work with you guys when a lot of us would be out of work based off the actions of Joe Biden and a lot of the Congress people. There were no marching orders given. There was no, hey, you guys should talk about this and frame it in this way. They were trying to figure out ways in which they could email us, contact us, text us with updates at what they're doing, and we got to tell them our perspective on the matter. There are about 100 creators at this conference, and you can even go on people's Instagrams like Khalil Green's and see that they had a senator, Cory Booker, come through and talk to us about how social media is the new frontier, after he voted for the TikTok ban and to approve more money for Israel. He was promptly pressed by multiple creators at that event for those actions and for his words. I say all this to say that I'm a creator who's been on this app since 2020. I have over 1 million followers. I have still yet to be verified on any platform I've ever been on. I've already been contacted by famous birthdays and I have an account up there, but I still have not seen any verification. Even with me being in this space for as long as I have, I had no clue that conferences like this even happen. I thought we just kind of got shut out of everything. I'm somebody who's been underpaid, had their account deleted, had bullshit with TikTok about analytics and everything. And I only ended up at that conference because last minute, the people who I've been working with let me know, hey, there's this conference happening in DC. Would you want to go? And I was like, sure. And you can go watch all of my content. Under no circumstances did me or V or Pearlmania or literally anyone else there receive marching orders from the White House. I got to speak to Harry, and I have my disagreements with him because I'm not pro-Biden in the way that he is, but we got to talk about it, and he acknowledged his perspective is very pro-Biden and that it's probably not the best right now, but he still has reasons for why he believes what he believes. But just because you do not like Joe Biden does not mean that anybody who does or anybody who plans on voting for him or anybody who makes content and maybe doesn't attack Joe Biden as much as the Republicans is getting marching orders from them or is being told what to say. Again, you can go through and watch all my content. Do I still plan on voting for Joe Biden in November? Unfortunately, yes, I do. 1, RFK Jr. is a fucking idiot, objectively, and he's a liar. Ignoring all this bullshit that he said, plus more, and clipping out of context Pearlmania talking about how he had brainworms to say he's picking a side when if
Okay, so I need to pause this here for a second because, I want you to think about it. He's talking about how RFK lied, but how about because Joe Biden's been lying since he got into office 50 years ago? Okay. This kid has not taken the time to do any research, but let's go ahead. Let's let him finish.
If you watch the full video, all that comes from a deposition and statements from RFK Jr. him damn self is lending undue legitimacy to somebody who's a genuine conspiracy theorist and a habitual liar. 2, we've had years upon years at this point before it even got here to actually mobilize around third-party candidates, and it does not happen because that's just not where the country is politically right now. So with that being the case, I don't have to like Joe Biden to acknowledge that working under a framework with a Democratic president is significantly better than working under whatever the fuck is left of the Republicans and their Project 2025. And I can both be horrified and disgusted at what Joe Biden and the Democrats are perpetuating with their support for Israel, and also acknowledge that something could make this infinitely worse, and that would be a Republican Congress and a Republican president, especially when they're quite literally holding up a gun to our heads and it's like, yeah, if you give us the key, we gonna press this trigger, a trigger that will detonate and inflame every fucking issue besides just Israel and Palestine. So I'd much rather have the long-term goal of working to either take over the Democratic Party with political ideology or to make it so that the Democrats are actually the conservatives we need to fight against. And that position does not come to me from JoeBidenForAmerica.com. If the Democrats lose and Joe Biden loses, it is not the left's fault. It is the Democrats' fault for not seeing where people were and making that accommodation to their constituents. But me personally, I would not like to roll the dice, especially when men them over there have just said that they want to actually go after contraception. Just because the Democrats and Republicans are kind of similar on one issue does not mean they are the same on every issue. And this random conspiracy-laden attack on creators because they were photographed in the same room as the president only lends credence to the philosophy that we should just stop and take ourselves out the political system because there's no difference between the two sides, which will in turn harm way more people than if you were to just get involved and look at policy proposals and see where you land. Taking a picture and a meeting and boiling everything down to what they just must be feds unironically sounds like the same shit that the far right has been peddling for decades at this point. It is incredibly anti-intellectual and incredibly irresponsible. You need to do better.
Wow. I don't think a podcaster can get any dumber, and he's got 1 million viewers. Wow, 1 million viewers, and you just, oh, kid, I don't know what's happening to you. It's too bad. It's too bad. You know. So I thought this one was pretty interesting. We've seen a couple on restaurant closings. I didn't know about Pizza Hut. There's a couple others in here too.
Restaurants that are closing in 2024. Fuddruckers is expected to close all locations by the end of the year.
How many of you guys have eaten at Fuddruckers before? I know most of you have probably eaten at a Pizza Hut at least once or twice in your lifetime. They're the same old cardboard, dough kind of thing as Domino's. That's how I look at it. But Fuddruckers, all right, Fuddruckers.
Here, Old Country Buffet is closing.
Old Country Buffet. What's the other big chain? Was it Cracker Barrel? I think it's called Cracker Barrel. I haven't seen anything about Cracker Barrel yet, but I'm hoping not, because Cracker Barrel was everyone I've ever eaten at was like kick ass.
Remainder locations. IHOP is closing 100 underperforming locations. Buffalo Wild Wings is closing all Canada locations, as well as 60 locations in the U.S. Applebee's is closing 35
Applebee's I've eaten at a couple of times. I haven't really been like super impressed with them.
locations due to underperformance. Red Lobster is closing 50 locations due to financial struggles and high operational costs. Denny's is closing 20 locations.
Denny's. Wow.
By the end of the year. Marie Callender's is shutting down all remainder locations. Pizza Hut is planning to close 500 locations.
500 locations.
And focus more on delivery services. Outback Steakhouse is closing 41 of their 700 locations. Sbarro is closing a total of 50 locations, with majority being mall locations. Mart Pizza is closing a total of 27 locations. Ruby Tuesday is closing 16 more locations in 2024. PDQ is closing 8 of their 59 locations. Joe's Crab Shack is closing 41 of their 60 locations. Bonefish Grill is closing 7 locations due to underperformance. So sad to see all our favorite restaurants disappear.
Yeah, crazy, huh? But a lot of it's got to do with pricing and stuff like that. It's things are just nuts. All right, Kim Runner put this out. I think most people are so entrapped in their minds. Yeah.
I think most people are so entrapped in their mind that they don't even know they're entrapped. He said, you don't realize your predicament. You are in prison. But if you would escape from prison, the first thing you must realize is that you're in prison. If you think you're free, no escape is possible. Most people they don't identify with the little blue space. They don't identify with the part of them that sees the predicament of the rest of them. They are just so busy being the reactive part of themselves, with their righteousness and their fear and their determination and their pity and all those kind of human emotions. They're so reactive, and so it fills all the space, and they never stop to reflect. They wouldn't think of meditating or reflecting. And they get up, and from the minute they get up, as they wake up, their mind starts to run its numbers, and they keep getting into the reactive thing. Oh, I've got to go to the toilet. I smell coffee. Oh, I've got to get up. I must remember to do my laundry. Oh, I forgot to call so-and-so. Oh, I want to sleep 10 more minutes. Oh, it's warm in that car. What was I dreaming? And the mind starts, and it just feeds this continuous like one of those hammers in the street. And it just goes all day until finally you just fall into exhausted sleep at night and then start the next day. And it's just mechanically running off, and there's no space in it at all. So that I think what is required, first of all, is the beginning of what's called awakening, which means the recognition that you are in prison. That's what awakening is about. And that recognition has to come in some way where you got a little whiff of the fact that there is freedom, that there's something other than what you're stuck in.
There is something other than what you are stuck in. Yeah. All right. This is a superintendent of Denali National Park in Alaska, Brooke Merrill. She told construction crew working at the park that they can't fly the American flag from their trucks or equipment because it distracts from park experiences. Senator Sullivan responded by sending a scathing letter demanding answers. Absolutely disgraceful. Here we go. It says, let me get my glasses on. Oh, wow, they need to be wiped off badly. Oh. See, that's the good thing about the rain today is all this dust that's flying around out here will be gone. Okay, we need to make this bigger because I can't do that. Okay, here we go. So it's Charles F. Chuck Sams, III, Director, National Park Service. Director Sams, on the eve of Memorial Day weekend, a matter of very significant concerns has come to my attention. I'm requesting your immediate response. As you know, a major construction project is underway in Denali National Park and Preserve to build a bridge at mile 45 of the park road, an area known as Pretty Rocks. One of the vehicles involved in the construction had a 3x5 foot American flag affixed to it while working on this project. For reasons that remain unclear, someone at the National Park Service, NPS, caused the construction crew to remove the American flag from the vehicle. This is an outrage, particularly in the lead up to our most solemn national holiday, Memorial Day, a time when Americans come together to honor those who gave their lives in service to our nation while wearing our country's flag. The American flag, especially on Memorial Day weekend, should be celebrated, not censored by federal government employees. There is no federal regulation or law that I can conceive of that would ban the flying of the American flag on public land, particularly in a national park, the principal purpose of which is the enjoyment of American citizens. I request that you immediately investigate this incident to figure out exactly what transpired, including whether there was a requirement made by the National Park Service's contract that prohibited the contractor's employees from flying the American flag, and the circumstances in which this incident was handled and by whom. I also request you outline what concrete steps, be they increased training. Wow, the rain just started coming down like you wouldn't believe. Clear guidelines, updating policies the NPS will take to ensure an incident like this does not happen again in American national parks. Now, can you imagine we got the 4th of July coming up here, and somebody like this park ranger here who decides to take it upon themselves to stop you from flying an American flag. I would have taken the flag pole and shoved it where the sun don't shine and went up into the tallest tree and tied the flag up there. That's what I would do. Yeah. All right. This might speed things along, says Nature Girl. Let's find out exactly what she's talking about. China warns United States to end all visits to Taiwan and adhere to the One China policy or be ready to face the consequences.
China warned the United States to end all visits to Taiwan and adhere the One China policy or be ready to face the consequences.
我命令全军各级要强化练兵备战鲜明导向，坚定不移把军事训练摆在战略位置，作为中心工作，抓住不放，抓出成效。要坚持领导带头，以上率下，坚持实战实训，连战连训，坚持按纲施训， 从严秩序。
This is the storyline, right? This is going to help blow this sucker into smithereens. China versus the US, the changing of world orders. But in my opinion, the United States of America is going to win this battle. Not the United States, because that's a corporation, but the United States of America. This is why it's so important to know what you hold. Let's go.
Yep. And we've been warned about, Taiwan. Trump's been talking about Taiwan for quite a period of time. All right. The pyramid's true purpose is finally revealed. Advanced ancient technology.
China warned the United States.
Tell you that the Great Pyramid of Giza was a glorified tomb for the Egyptian pharaohs. The only monument left of the original seven wonders of the world, this structure was created with impeccable mathematical precision and is a unique, mysterious feat of construction and of engineering. There's only one problem. The Great Pyramid has none of the characteristics of tombs, including extravagant artifacts, ornate wall art, sealed entrances, elaborate coffins, or even mummies themselves. It was, however, built with unique materials, the same materials that are used today for electrical conductivity. These facts are leading more and more historians to believe the pyramids may have had a far more useful purpose. The Pyramid of Giza was not at all a tomb, but a power plant, generating and transmitting electricity to the civilization surrounding it. Impossible? Join the universe inside you for a closer look. To start, it's important to comprehend the tremendous effort that went into creating these monuments. The pyramids of Giza are among no less than 118 of these structures in Egypt alone, and that doesn't even include those pyramids in other parts of the world. Given our current understanding of how early civilizations built their monuments, it would have taken no less than 20 years to build these so-called tombs, and that's if no less than 20,000 workers worked daily. To this day, historians still can't prove exactly how or when they were built. This leads us to ask, what resting place for the dead could possibly be so important that it would warrant such phenomenal effort, time, and precise engineering? Even without knowing that they have nothing in common with regular tombs, you only need to stand before them to realize that's a lot of work for a cadaver. Naturally, we make conclusions based on the assumption that ancient civilizations were more primitive than us. But what if intellectual evolution isn't always linear? Can advanced technology be lost and rediscovered centuries later? Is it possible that an ancient culture had knowledge of and used electrical power? To know for sure, let's look at another case where technology of power generation appears to have been used and then forgotten. We know Edison and Tesla brought electricity into common use moving into the 20th century. Yet, in Iraq in 1934, 3 artifacts were found together: a ceramic pot, a tube of copper, and a rod of iron, which, when combined with a liquid acid, can be used to create chemical reactions that produce an electrical charge. Known as the Baghdad or Parthian battery, these materials date back 2,000 years. 10 years after their discovery, someone using grape juice with similar materials successfully generated a few volts of electricity. This process has since been demonstrated on the Discovery Channel's program Mythbusters, where lemon juice activated the electrochemical reaction between the copper and the iron, producing 4 volts of electricity. Nowadays, you can simply search online to find instructions on how to create your own battery using these chemical principles. But historians have long assumed that thousands of years ago there was no knowledge of this technology, that this archaeological find is mere coincidence, even though we've long marveled over artifacts with intricate gold plating, which requires electricity to be created. Quite simply, energy generation happens as a result of simple chemical properties and can be done by anyone with 4 basic materials. So, here are some important facts about the structure and the materials of the pyramid. For starters, it contains angled tunnels which lead not only into the pyramid but deep underground to areas claimed still to be unexplored. What tomb needs a shaft directed into the earth? We also know that centuries ago there were enormous swivel doors that weighed no less than 20 tons. But miraculously, it was so well engineered, it could be moved to enter with a push of a hand. Since no Egyptian tomb has ever been found to be deliberately accessible, what was their interest in continuing to visit the mummies? Or could such a door have served the purpose of perhaps containing and insulating the space inside? Though you'd almost never know it, the Great Pyramids of Giza were once covered in white polished limestone, referred to as casing stones. The cuts made in this reflective stone were angled perfectly, so it would have a smooth, flat appearance. This would have made the giant structures brightly reflect the light of the sun like a mirror. It also would have made perfect insulation inside the structure. A large earthquake in 1303 disrupted the casing stones, and they were removed to use on other structures. Today, all that remains is the inner core of the pyramid. The image of the incredible amount of light that would have reflected from the monument raises curiosity, as does the reason for the insulation. Was there a desire to draw attention to their dead? To keep mummies warm or cool, or perhaps something else? Next, the material, dolomite, was used on the inner surfaces. Dolomite is known to increase electrical conductivity directly relative to the amount of pressure on it. High pressure creates more electrical current. Next, lining the passageways and underground tunnels of the pyramids is granite, which is slightly radioactive. Granite contains high amounts of quartz crystal with metal, and it's a well-known conductor of piezoelectricity. Piezoelectricity occurs as a result of stress or pressure on the quartz, as demonstrated by the wristwatches, which can be charged simply by rapidly shaking them. This granite actually ionizes the air inside the pyramid, creating a chemical reaction which, again, increases the conductivity of electricity. When such electrons are given the chance to bypass sections of rock via metal wire, quite large currents can flow. Another important material used to construct them is the mysterious mortar, 500,000 tons of it, which holds the giant stones in place. Though it's been analyzed many times, modern technology has yet to exactly recreate this gypsum which comes from sediment. This gypsum can withstand tremendous pressure and astoundingly is even stronger than the stones themselves. Clearly, it's contributed to keeping the monument intact for thousands of years. But could there be another reason why they used a material which could withstand such high pressure? So, limestone, dolomite, granite, supposedly constructed for a tomb, are, in fact, analogous to the exact materials we use to make electrical wires. They also share a relationship with pressure, which increases their electroconductivity. Just northwest of the Great Pyramid is the Serapeum. Here there are 20 huge granite boxes, each weighing 100 tons. Classic Egyptologists say these are coffins. Yet, the granite here came from 500 miles away, and each box is so large and so heavy that there's no possible way it could fit through the existing tunnels and entrances. These supposed sarcophagi were therefore somehow built into the structure with such precision, they're within a 10,000th of an inch of being perfectly flat. In the meantime, any electrical engineer will explain that a container serving as an energy capacitor or battery must be made entirely of the same substance, so there's no interruption in the magnetic field. Could these boxes be just that? If so, there's a centuries-old granite sarcophagus on display in an Egyptian museum that's thought to be unfinished. Unlike those in the pyramids, this one's cracked, suggesting that perhaps it wasn't unfinished, but simply abandoned, because the crack which occurred would have interrupted the magnetic field, permitting it from successfully serving its purpose. So there is clear evidence to support the possibility of an electrical use. Since these supposed sarcophagi are clearly way too large for a human being, the accepted theory is that they were, yes, believe this, bull coffins for the pharaoh's prized bulls. Makes you wonder who came up with the bull coffin theory. To add to the mystery, in 1993, a mysterious and inaccessible room was discovered after remaining hidden for thousands of years. Appearing to have deliberately been concealed by the structure's engineers, the room came to be called the Queen's Chamber and was finally explored in 2011 with a small remote camera to reveal a long-lost mummy? Hardly. It contained carefully crafted copper wire. And more importantly, there were instructions painted as symbols onto the floor, which appeared to show a clear wiring diagram. Look at any battery, from those used in large power plants to the smallest pellet batteries in wristwatches, and you'll see that they require a metal, such as copper, to create the chemical reaction known as potential difference. You can run an electric current through copper wire, and the coil will produce a short-range magnetic field. Add a second coil, and the power is transferred from one coil to the other. A windowless room with copper wirings could create a higher potential on one wall, which transfers energy to the lower potential on the other wall, consequently releasing electromagnetic energy into the confined space of the so-called Queen's Chamber. Sadly, these wires have since disappeared entirely, and mainstream Egyptologists claim there's no functionality whatsoever to this room, as they also claim there's no functionality of anything in this structure beyond the ways it serves as a tomb. Good place to note, however, that the foremost Egyptologist, Zahi Hawass, was indicted for theft of Egyptian antiquities. It could still be argued that the electrical materials used to construct the Great Pyramid are simply coincidental, because an energy generator still requires a catalyst from another source. Perhaps then this explains why the pyramids are geographically located over a powerful natural generator, underground rivers and aquifers. Physioelectricity could be harnessed from the power of the current as the water flows, And it has been proven that thousands of years ago, the Nile River passed directly by where the structures now stand. Of course, this brings in a debate about the age of the pyramids themselves, along with the weathering on the nearby Sphinx, indicating that the monuments are actually double the age they're currently assumed to be. Perhaps that would explain why there's no mention of the pyramids or their creation in any of the Egyptian writings. So if water was a source of power, it would have traveled up the limestone based on the principle of capillary action, which happens when a small area of a substance that gets wet absorbs into the entire area of that substance. So water flowing near or underneath the pyramid could have been absorbed as it passed over the limestone, even traveling upward to the top of the structure. The quartz in the tunnels of the pyramids would subject to the stress or vibration, creating piezoelectricity. The high force, speed of the rising water, and the pressure would be analogous to filling a syringe, generating electromagnetic energy within the structure by the materials within it, and conducting it upwards to the now missing capstone. But why? The geographical location of the pyramid may give us some clues. It is located exactly at a point which magnifies the electromagnetic forces on the planet, where telluric currents are at their strongest. There's an electromagnetic field at the bottom of the pyramid, which would rise to the upper layers with these chemical reactions. We don't know for sure what capped the pyramid, but there is speculation that it may have been gold, explaining, of course, why it's long since been missing. If it were gold, this could have created a conductive path for energy to be directed upwards, high into the ionosphere. If superconductive materials were used to create this monument for energy, then the potential for something even more amazing might have been possible. Wireless electricity. Sound far-fetched? One bold and extraordinary man swore this was possible, and he may have showed us how. We know of Nikola Tesla as the solitary genius responsible for the electric engine, radio, laser, radar, and for creating a tremendous competitive spirit in Thomas Edison. We know Tesla sought above all to serve mankind. In fact, despite his extraordinary contributions, he's scarcely known or credited for his genius. At the 1893 World's Fair, Tesla transmitted electricity naturally to a light bulb he held in his hands, and he created the Tesla coil, which is used more today for show than for the function it was intended to serve. Most importantly, we know that Tesla claimed adamantly that he had perfected the method of harnessing and transmitting free wireless energy using the electromagnetic nature of the planet. In a patent Tesla filed in September of 1897, he claimed that at 30,000 feet altitude, there's a stratum of rarefied air that would conduct electric currents at high voltages. In this proposed system was a transmitter which would transmit millions of volts into the atmosphere. Then he had something receive the electricity and reduce the voltage to a convenient potential to be used by consumers. In an experiment the last week of July in 1903, nearby residents claimed to have witnessed Tesla successfully conduct his experiment at the Wardensife Tower, while Tesla himself, sharing his new method of conductivity, said that it lit up the night sky as if it were a giant fluorescent tube. It's even been said that he successfully wirelessly transmitted pictures and sounds. Though all of his work has been mercilessly destroyed, this cannot be proven. Sadly, Tesla's technology was confiscated shortly after his death. He died in poverty, and the US government destroyed his tower, claiming it was being used by German spies. Had Tesla succeeded in his mission, the distribution of power on this planet would have been very different today. Compare Tesla's technology to the pyramids, the location, height, and electromagnetic materials. We've seen induction between copper wires work for short distances. For a long-distance transfer, the same principle can be applied when acoustic energy is converted to kinetic energy and the frequencies match. The way an opera singer can shatter a glass when the sound wave he is singing matches the resonant frequency of the glass. So if there's a magnetically oscillating current and you create a second possessing the same frequency, the wireless transmission can pass through solid materials and through long distances. The frequency which would have been released from the pyramid would have to have been matched in the surrounding area. Perhaps this would explain the obelisks, the tall monuments which could be acting as receivers, particularly if there's a quartz stone at the top of them. This would also explain the ancient carvings in Egypt, which so clearly indicate light sources, it's boggling to think anyone would even argue it. In the Hathor Temple, the Dendera light is one such image. It perfectly resembles modern electrical technology, showing a wire inside of a bulb-like area and a box which appears to be a receiver. Across from this carving is a similar image, but the system appears to be falling into the hands of a reptilian-looking being, as though it's a warning of the potential to abuse this technology. Mainstream historians scoff and make more primitive conclusions, but still, the pyramids show no sign of soot from flame torches. Instead, there are multiple carvings which show these antenna-like objects that appear to be a transmitter, near another object shaped like the famous symbol, the Ankh, which appears to be the receiver. Given all this, it seems so much more believable that the Great Pyramid functioned using the same principles and conditions as Tesla sought to demonstrate, that they conducted and directed electromagnetic energy into the ionosphere, where it generated and transmitted electricity wirelessly to receivers within the civilization. We've long believed that the pyramids were just tombs, but this theory raises more questions than it answers. Why do they have nothing in common with other tombs? Why the unique construction materials made to build it, including the very materials required for conducting power? Why the oversized granite boxes proven to have never contained any mummies, or the ones that are clearly too large for humans? Why the alignment with the North Pole, the 20-ton swivel doors, intricate tunnels and chambers, shafts, and areas still yet to be discovered? Why is there no soot from fire torches anywhere inside the structure? And why do the tunnels protrude deep into the earth? These mysteries still elude our understanding, but more and more people are accepting the possibility that the Great Pyramid of Giza had a more important function than we understand. We know there is a heightened electromagnetic measurement around the pyramid that's equivalent to that made in an electrical storm. We also know that if you look at them from space, you can see that they're actually 8-sided, not 4-sided, and that there are strange heat spots observable only with special equipment. They have unique electric materials, including copper, and a design that suggests high pressure and water power. They have a powerful magnetic structure and placement over the telluric currents. They're aligned with the stars, and the unique art of the area shows clear depictions of wired light sources. All these things suggest there's a lot more to this story than we've been told. All these circumstances make the likelihood high that the pyramid was created to be a compact energy generator and a broadcasting system that transmitted electricity wirelessly. The implications for this understanding of electrical power by an ancient culture is huge. It would rewrite history as we know it. Do you think that free energy could be transmitted wirelessly around the world? And whether or not you do believe that, do you think that if it really could do that, we would actually...
Yeah, what I would like to see is wireless electricity, so I don't have any cords anymore. All right, here's a funny for you. If you were blind, how would you ask for?
Tell you.
If you were blind, how would you ask for a toothbrush? If you were blind, how would you ask for a pencil? If you were blind, how would you ask for food? If you were blind, how would you ask for a drink? I asked if you were blind.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm doing all the hand motions.
Really?
Yes.
You're blind.
I know.
What does blind mean?
I can't see.
You can't see.
Right.
So why are you giving me hand motions?
How else am I supposed to communicate with you?
What do you mean? You're blind, not deaf. You're
Oh, I just remember that gentlemen prefer blondes, right? All right. When your children have the food delivery app on their phones.
Is this door wide? Jay, what are you doing? I'm just taking out my food. Your food? Where did you get food from? Uber Eats. Uber Eats? Yeah. No, that is not. You took mommy's phone and ordered food? Yeah, sorry. I was hungry. You hungry? Yeah. I understand, baby, but you can't do that. Come on, give me that Happy Meal. Come. Is this door wide?
All right. Wait for the advice. Here we go. We're going to continue on giggles for a second.
Guys, I'm telling you, getting married is the best thing that ever happened to me. Okay, listen to me. I have 5 seconds. I used to be rich with long hair. Now look what happened to me. Don't do the same mistake as I did. Babe, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. I love you so much. Guys, I'm telling you, getting married.
Oh, yeah. All right. Here's some script keeper for you.
Life should be truth, always. It shouldn't be for any personal gain. It shouldn't be for a platform game. It shouldn't be for views and clicks and likes and money and payments on Rumble and all this shit. It should just be to tell the fucking truth and expose and declass. Now, one other thing I will say. When they make funny posts that are a little weird, and you say, why did they do that post? Why would they say that about that person? Because they're getting ready to turn. And what we did to Phil Godlewski was monumental. He'll never be the same. Y'all have a blessed Memorial Day.
Yep. What they did brought all the receipts. Yep. All right. For many, waking up is devastating, especially those who are just now waking up.
I just watched a video from a Gen Xer who feels like she just woke up. How did we get here? I bought it all. I bought a house. I went in the army. I served my country. I'm disabled. I'm trying to get 100% disability because of my pain, and I don't medicate with morphine. I work every day. I have to. At one point in my life, in the not so distant future, I could afford my home with my wife, and now I have 2 roommates. Like, when only 5 people have all the money, and they just print it when they want to, and they just send it away to places that they have special interests in, because this whole world is led by evil fucking corporations that feed us fucking garbage. Come on, man. The very first, I woke up and saw it all for what the fuck it is. I fought for this shit. I believed it. I thought 9/11 was fucking real. What a fucking joke, man. You think Baltimore was fucking real? You think that bridge just collapsed like that? And the same motherfucker, and I went in the army because 9/11, the same motherfucker had an insurance policy on a bridge that randomly got blown to bits by a boat in a fucking building. Has anybody ever thought, yeah, 2 planes hit those 2 buildings, but that fucking building just collapsed with no plane hitting it? Meanwhile, passengers like me who want to fight for America take a fucking terrorist out. It was bought by a fucking corporation to do this in the beginning. They crash somewhere else. Maybe that plane was supposed to hit that fucking building and they could explain that one away. What has happened to our fucking country? My friend just told me that his good friend is down in Panama. He's like an ex-CIA SF guy, and he's watching people show up in hundreds and hundreds because there's no passport or immigration rules in Ecuador or some shit like that, and they walk the Darien all the way here, man. This is designed. It is like a fire sale right now. They are fucking printing money, and our whole money system is built on debt. It's a joke. It's the world's greatest Ponzi scheme that they have convinced the masses to just do whatever the fuck they say. I'm a woke motherfucker now, dude. And I am Gen X. And I played in the streets until the fucking lights came on or it was dark. And if you weren't home, they were coming for your ass. And they knew where you were. I never had a phone. The internet came about and I was like, fuck that shit. I resisted computers. I just went to work and exchanged my time for money that they took in tax 50% of and sent it elsewhere for evil designs. People, we somehow have remained politically silent, being okay with our little bubbles that we create. I think that's what Gen X does, is create bubbles that make it okay to live. And what we're seeing as part of this waking up is the fact that we can't live in that bubble anymore. And this is why. I'm so fucking fired up. This poor lady has worked her whole life. And her and her husband just admit to the whole world on TikTok that they can't pay their fucking bills. I say we boycott them, and I say we hit them where it hurts. I want everybody that sees this to follow Cancel My Clothing subscription or some shit like that. It's the guy on the internet. He's getting real famous, and he's putting graphs on his website of who owns everything, and it's the same fucking people. Wise up. The only way that we can take control is to not give them our money. Spend your money at the local market, whatever money you have left. Grow a garden. Collect rainwater. Build a fucking generator. Take out a credit card to do it if you have to, and quit fucking paying the credit card, because it's a joke. But get independent, people. It's a movement. And if they can't control us, walk away. Walk away from the system. I hate it. There's only a few places free in the world, and I'm in Alaska. And I'm not in everybody's bubble right now. I'm in my own, but I feel it because of this fucking app. I've only been on TikTok a week. This is my second fucking video, and I'm fired the fuck up, people. Wake up. Do the right thing. Fight the corporations who own our politicians. Do not let them divide us. We are the same thing. We're all people trying to be okay, trying to survive. We're not trying to be greedy. We're trying to work for an honest living. That's what we thought our whole lives. That's what we were supposed to do. Exchange our time for money. We just don't want it taxed anymore, motherfucker. Okay? We want to be able to afford our bubble. And we'll go back in that fucking bubble when Gen X fixes this shit. I don't know what we got to do, but I'm on board. Thank you.
Breeze, man, breeze. See, we could have used that guy 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we could have used him. But unfortunately, it takes all this time to get everybody awake. All right. Okay. Gigabase Dad says, when you didn't realize Mom was in the room and caught you red-handed. Oh, yeah. You guys have no idea how much of this I go through every day. I don't know how your slipper got on my nose. I really don't. I've been trying to get it off of there. Uh-huh. We know. We know. We know. Yeah, we know. All right. Breaking. Wow, Habina or Alina just said this on live TV. Okay, let's see what she says. Here we go.
Gag order. But this judge is the judge that determines the jury instructions. The jury instructions are the roadmap for non-attorneys and jurors to follow the law. It's going to be critical, and frankly, at this point, I have zero confidence in the fact that this person, who should not be sitting on the bench right now, will do the right thing and give jury instructions that are in an appropriate manner without any persuasion towards the prosecution. There's my biggest concern. It always has been. There was no case, as we saw. The taxpayer dollars have been wasted for 8 years for a case that has passed the statute of limitations that doesn't exist in a political campaign to take down Trump. So now you've held jurors for 5 weeks. We've been sitting here. We saw no facts. And the last resort for the prosecution is going to be this judge with political motivations going to give them instructions on how to decide the fate of a former president and the future president of the United States. Gag order. But this judge.
Oh, what, let me tell you guys, I'll share this experience with you. So I got a pair of my pillow slippers about 6 months ago when I ordered a bunch of dog beds. Okay. Well, the puppies got a hold of one of my brown slippers, and they got a hold of one of the brand spanking new My Pillow slippers. So I am now walking around with one black My Pillow slipper and a worn out moccasin slipper on the other foot, 2 different colors. Yeah. Imagine me going up to the gate to go get my food or pick up the dog food from the delivery people, and they look down at my feet, and I don't even bother telling them. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just not. Yeah. The struggles. You have no idea. No idea.
Over the city, looking down on Washington, D.C., you'll see there are two main boulevards culminating in a pyramid. And just at the very top of the pyramid is a street cutting it off. And then within the triangle at the top, where the eye on the dollar bill is the Capitol. And the Capitol building sits there. It's a pyramid. Then it has the Cleopatra's Needle, which is a Washington monument. And the river, the long riverway, and the long waterway is called the River Styx, which is where Pharaoh went into heaven on the River Styx. It is all laid out in Masonic symbolism, and the five-pointed star, which is a pentagram, has always been used. Satan worship, satanic worship, the five-pointed pentagram. And if you take the arms off of a pentagram, you have a pentagon. And the United States Pentagon is sitting exactly due north, aiming due north at the North Star Thuban, which is drawing power, according to the ancient Egyptians, for the god of war. Just take a road map of Washington, D.C. Just take a look at it from the air, and you'll see what appears to be the goat of Mendez. And the goat of Mendez, which is a symbol in Freemasonry. Right. It's a symbol. It's a demonic symbol within the Freemasonic. You see the goat order. And the horns and the whole thing. The whole city is laid out like that. It's all over. So what we're basically saying here is that there is nothing happening by chance.
Nothing happening by chance. Yeah, sometimes we just have to look and see. And here it is. The Arizona Senate audit confirms Katie Hobbs and Adrian Fontes utilized Democrats' single greatest crime in 2020 for the 2022 election. Here we go.
About signature verification has been that third.
Let me get these.
About signature verification has been that third rail in Maricopa County. You can't touch it. You can't talk about it. And that was really the line in the sand that the county drew during the Arizona audit. And it's not difficult to see why they don't want us looking at those signatures, because guess what? They don't match.
One slide. Go back one slide. Who determined the number 420,987 from the 2020 election? Was that your organization that determined there were that number of failed signatures, or was that the number reported by all of the counties in Arizona?
So, Madam Chair, Senator Bennett, that number is based on a review of a quarter of the 1.9 million envelopes from the 2020 election. We used 150 trained workers that studied the Secretary of State manual and followed those guidelines. And then they analyzed each voter record individually. Once we got the statistics for that first 25% or 400,000 ballots, then it was extrapolated to determine the final number.
Those are Maricopa County.
That is just Maricopa County.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make, Madam Chair, is I think Maricopa County alone had 2,089,563 ballots in 2020, and about 1.9 million of them were by mail. And so your group analyzed about 25% of those 1.9 million in Maricopa County, came up with a percentage that you considered to have failed signature verification, then you extrapolated to get to the 420,000.
Madam Chair, Senator Bennett, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, proceed.
So signature verification is the process by which you take the voter ballot envelope and compare it to the affidavit in order to determine whether it's a legitimate vote. So there are two areas that we looked at that we want to share with you today. The first one is the signature verification of 2020 and how that relates to 2022. 420,987 ballot envelopes failed signature verification in the 2020 election. The system was never repaired. And because of that, those same issues that caused the massive amount of failures was still in existence in the 2020 election.
In the 2022?
In the 2022 election, which has left our system still vulnerable. So signature verification.
Yeah, it's all coming to a head here, where that's concerned. It's gonna happen. Lisa, actually, honestly, after the My Pillow slipper experience, I don't think I could ever go back to wearing regular slippers again. Um, they are extremely comfortable, and you can wear them doing everything. So, all right. Savage Daughter says whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork. I've never heard this story before. Have you? Oh, here we go.
I don't know what I just stumbled into, but you guys got to watch this video. This lady says that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden have been laundering money through her account since she was a young child, and that they were charged with sexually assaulting her and her ex-boyfriend. Watch this shit.
Hunter Biden has been money laundering in my accounts, along with Joe Biden, ever since I was a congressional intern at age 15. In addition to that, in 1980, he was convicted of sexually assaulting me, Diplo, and Adam Gordon, my ex-boyfriend. I didn't realize that it happened to him, too. I don't know how he got through FBI adjudication and investigations for security clearance other than paying bribes. I worked in DOJ for many years, was a DOJ official as well as a federal prosecutor, in addition to being an executive at VA. I don't understand how he could have gone through the adjudication process, given that in 1980 he was convicted of those crimes against me and two other people that I know very well. While I was at the VA as an executive and a chief compliance officer, I ended up filing a workplace retaliation lawsuit after I left. I resigned. I wasn't asked to resign. I resigned because I was dealing with a Biden appointee who was, I guess, concerned, along with Hunter and Joe Biden, that their dirty secrets in connection with me would come out. And so she wanted me gone. She's a member of the Biden Institute. Her name is Marianne Donahue. She's in charge of the whistleblower office at VA, which is super important. It was stood up under Trump, and I was appointed under the Trump administration, and so I guess they thought I was a problem. Once I filed the retaliation lawsuit, the gang stalking, the harassment, the drama all began. The money laundering has continued by Hunter Biden.
All right. No, I muted on purpose because I was thinking of what I was going to say. I'm going to read a text to you because I'm not going to say who it's from. I need a favor. I'm trying to ask God for some strength. And my PTSD is kicking my ass. What should I say? Well, our Creator gave us choice. We can choose to be in the world and of the world, or we can choose to be in the world but not of it. And what do I mean by that? Well, as we go through these news clips and different stories and things like that, quite often our emotional side steps in, and it's kind of like we hear a story of somebody doing something good. It gives us something to laugh about, smile about, makes us feel good because we see other people are doing good. And then we have stories where our hearts break for those who either are not awake or are experiencing things that we've already gone through, and we kind of we feel for the people, and you know, the thing is that all too often PTSD becomes a hindrance when there's nobody else there. It's one thing to get a hug from a child, you know, one of your children makes you feel good, you know, but a hug from a friend, that understands, has experienced, and has gone through that emotion and through that mental grief and everything else, you know, can be extremely powerful. So how best to ask God to help you through PTSD is, God, I need a hug. I need a hug. I need to feel that everything is going to be all right. It may sound like a whole lot to ask that, but I'm going to tell you, if you ask and you truly, truly believe, you're going to receive it. Along with it, you'll receive some clarity, some understanding, understanding, because you're not below anybody else. Nobody is standing on you. So understanding is basically that. You're under somebody is standing on top of you. Understanding, that means that you stand. And when you stand, you will go through emotional turmoil periodically. You will go through a mental dislocation of those around you. You see, I don't think that there's ever a time when a person is alone that you have not been set aside intentionally for a reason. You might not know the reason yet, but in that time that you have alone, you end up growing. You learn something. You become stronger because of that something. Sometimes you don't see it right away, but it's going to come. And you're going to say to yourself, now I see why our Creator set me aside for this time. Why you're experiencing the emotion and the mental fatigue and everything that you're feeling right now is intentional. It is to strengthen you. Why? So you can stand. Nothing can stop you. Nothing. Except for yourself. So don't look at it like this is happening to you. No, this is happening for you. I've been living that for the last 7 years. 7 years of this. You know, Kristen says, what if you're sick of standing for everybody's benefits? If you are standing for your own benefit, then we started off on the wrong foot. The idea has always been to take care of each other. That's what the whole purpose has been. What did Jesus said? Do treat your neighbor how you yourself want to be treated, right? That doesn't mean to stand for yourself. It means to stand for everybody else. Your reward comes when you get there. When you step into that kingdom. You have built treasures there that you don't need here. Simply by doing and caring for others. Self-sacrifice is basically, one of the biggest things. Self-sacrifice. What am I willing to put up in order to get other people to stand up? Well, think about the podcasters that you've watched, like Dave and myself and others, okay? Who, when you first got there, you weren't standing. You were learning, but you weren't standing yet. And then a couple of topics came along where you finally said, enough is enough. I need to stand. And you stood. Now what you do is you think about how many people have stood because you stood. It's not an easy thing. PTSD is definitely not an easy emotion to deal with. Whether it's through traumatic experiences in life or from military engagement or through violence and everything else, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to try and fight this system that is basically meant to walk on you. How does that come to an end? When we all stand. Some of us have been standing a lot longer than others. But the thing is we can't tire from it. We need to take breaks periodically. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I just took 3 days. Because, yesterday is, I already explained to you why I wasn't on yesterday, but, I had a couple of days of really good weather. It gave me a chance to get outside, give the dogs a lot of running around. I got a bunch of work done that needed to get done. I had a section of fence that was taken out by a bull. Had to get that repaired, and I had to do that in short order. Because of the fact that I don't have a link for them, Lisa. I'll look into it though when I go on to the next video. It's crazy. It's crazy. There are so many, so many different ways that we benefit each other. But it's not always just the ones that it's oftentimes people we don't know You know, no, I didn't have sex on the fence. I had to fix a fence. Oh, Parkside, where is your head today? Get your head out of the gutter, Lord. But just, just in closing on that, listen, when you're feeling down like that, don't hesitate to speak up, But the biggest thing is, sometimes you just need the hug. Sometimes you just need a hug. Ask for it. Just, yeah. All right, let's move on. Great video proves DJT released the real one. This version didn't pop on the scene until after 2016. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't remember the Zapruder film looking like this. Do you? Script Keeper says, here we go.
Then you saw the driver take a gun and go like this, and the bullet comes out of the gun this slow. Very, very, very slow. I'm thinking, this isn't the tape I ever saw before. So I said, is this a doctor tape? What's this about? And he said, this is the original one. And I said, no, And he said, well, I'm going to show you the one that you've seen on the media. So the next tape is your typical one where the driver just keeps driving, never even flinches with the gun. And he stops the tape. And he says, look at the tree. And there's the top of a tree growing in air. And he says, this is the one that you're seeing on the media. And it's been doctored. He looked very, very intently at me and he said, nothing is as it appears to be. That tape was the last thing he did before I left. And it occurred to me that that was shown so that it would provide deniability for Robert Booth Nichols. He had to have doctored that, to have put half a tree in that film. So that, my ability to see the truth or to report the facts kind of goes out the window when you start describing that film, especially if you say you believed it. I can tell you right now, I saw it. There's no question what I saw. But like he said, nothing is as it appears to be in this world, their world.
And more is going to be coming out of this. We're going to be seeing so much more. All right, shameful. Princeton students rush to stop a Memorial Day parade after spotting American flags coming towards them. This was disrespectful beyond belief.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! 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 Divest! This club! Divest! Get out of the street! Get out of the street! The protest! Missing complicity! We are sitting here peacefully! We are being issued! Warning to disperse! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Palestine will be free. Palestine never forever. Palestine will live forever. Palestine will be free. You're supporting genocide. Prison, you can't hide. You're funding genocide. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine.
Yeah. They, honestly, they should have arrested them all right there on the spot. No answers about it. No thinking about it. They should spend immediate arrest right then. So, imagine if we went out and sat in front of one of their BLM marches or Antifa marches or something like that. They'd be all butthurt and everything else and claiming foul and all this other stuff. Yeah. All right, Shipwreck says Republicans in Congress introduce legislation to give American IDF soldiers the same benefits as American soldiers. Yeah.
Republicans in Congress have introduced legislation in order to make Israeli military personnel have the same benefits as American military personnel. The legislation would, according to lawmakers, amend Title 38 of the United States Code to include American citizens, including Israeli dual citizens who serve in the Israeli Defense Forces or the IDF. The SCRA allows protections against foreclosure, default judgment in legal cases, repossession of rental properties or leases, and hiked interest rates while an individual is serving. It would also extend to those IDF soldiers protections under the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights. It extends civilian job rights and benefits for veterans, members of the reserve components, and each individual activated by the President of the United States to provide federal response for national emergency, which I think is like the National Guard. Now, the bill was sent to the House Committee on Veterans Affairs after it was introduced, and it was co-sponsored by Chief Deputy Whip Guy Reschenthaler and U.S. Representative Max Miller out of Ohio. It largely went unnoticed. Like, nobody's really talking about it, probably because it would be pretty contra-fucking-versal. Fucking planet, did anybody agree to have their tax dollars go to a military personnel of a different country? Our own military personnel doesn't get paid enough, doesn't get taken care of. You hear horror stories about the VA every day. Now you're going to stretch that even thinner by paying military personnel of another country. The reason that I found out about any of this is because I was researching a sign that was put up about Mike Johnson, an abandoned warehouse in Shreveport. It basically says, fuck Mike Johnson. And then it's got a bunch of red hands, which you know what those symbolize. The group that took responsibility for it was the Democratic Socialists of America. They did it. It got taken down. But then Mike Johnson made this statement.
Office released this response to the banner, quote, "The individuals with blood on their hands are the terrorists that attacked Israel on October 7th, and it is shameful that pro-Hamas radicals have invaded Northwest Louisiana. Speaker Johnson will always stand with Israel and the Jewish people."
What about the people within the country that you live? Do you know what $95 billion could do to help the American people, would do to help American vets? You sent that money to Israel and Ukraine and Gaza and Taiwan, and you caved. We wanted you to hold out until we had money for our own border. You sold us out. And now you're actually going to consider legislation for us to pay the military of another country? We can't even afford to put food on our table right now. You're all so fucking worthless. You're just worthless.
Doesn't get any simpler than that. Ganja, this is my plan would be to have one of those poop pumps out in the front that you spray them down with, right? And then once they run off the road all covered with poop, then you have the street cleaner come in, the one that sprays the water and cleaning stuff, and then street sweepers to clear the path. And yeah, that's how you have a parade with no interruption. Yeah, that's how you do it. Yep. Okay. All right. This is one you guys got to read this. Okay. All right. The husband asked her to get an energy saver light bulb, but she got a voice activated one instead. Okay. You guys got to read this. So here we go.
你嫂子不是把娘你都保不住，叫你换个档，你换什么声控灯？
I asked you to get a new light bulb. Why did you get a sound controlled light?
它是个尖叫弦的。你不是说节约成本吗？节约成本也不能这样子节约成本呐！哦吼！你晚上搞得我不是放错醋就是放错油，切个菜把指甲都切了。哦吼！不是人买头灯吗？都是带呀。你见过哪个厨师带着头灯炒菜的？哦吼！你以为是钓鱼吗？还带头灯？抠门的我见多了，没见过你这么抠门的。哦吼！赶紧叫个电工师傅过来把灯换了啊！哦，这么一想，
This simple 50-second video demonstrates the real meaning of Memorial Day. Okay, I want you guys to listen to this video very, very closely.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death.
What did he say?
About Hillary Clinton's death.
We came, we saw, he died. I'm sure he did.
Look at Hillary. I mean, it's like watching a very carefully programmed robot stand up there in front of those reporters.
This is an odd question that I lobbied for a lot because it's one of my favorite questions to ask people. If you don't have an answer, that's fine, but I will be a little sad.
Okay, Tracy, Jesus.
What's the weirdest thing about you?
The weirdest thing about me is that I don't sweat.
Yes, obviously.
Best theory for Hillary's a robot, zero sweat. See, you guys are the first to realize that I'm really not even a human being. I was constructed in a garage in Palo Alto This a very explains long a time lot. ago. Tell us People more. think that, you know, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they created They it. don't even know. Oh, no. I mean, a man whose name shall remain nameless created me in his garage.
Are there more of you?
Now, I thought he threw away the plans. At least that's what he told me when he programmed me, that there would be no more. I've seen more people that kind of don't sweat and other things that make me think maybe they are part of the new race that he has created, the robot race.
So there's a cyborg
but
army.
I don't,
is what
you
you're
got to cut
saying.
that. You can't tell anybody this. I don't want anybody to know.
Questions. Yeah. All right. She is absolutely right, says Saul Jackson.
I know there is
Representative Starts, if the January 6th insurrectionists wanted to do an insurrection, they would have succeeded. They were expressing themselves peacefully. It is un-American to call them insurrectionists. They are good Americans. I agree.
I know there is a lot of discussions about, January 6th, and I've been in the chamber January 6th, and I'll tell you something, we call this insurrection. I'll have to tell you, if the people that show up there wanted to do it, they would have succeeded, but they didn't show up for that reason. It was people that were upset because the quality of people came there. They were mad because we are not governing for the people. And that's unfortunately what was very strange to me, that Speaker Pelosi didn't have a security. Speaker Pelosi insisted for us to stay in the chamber, but I personally demanded to leave that chamber. So a lot of things, the other side dropped the ball. And it was very unfortunate for me to see that. So I think this is beyond the subject of this matter, but we need to stop, accusing people that disagree with the government that been very corrupt and oppressive, to actually come here and, express peacefully their dissatisfaction. And there are always some bad players, and who knows who they are, but we don't call all people insurrectionists. This is just un-American to do it, and I'm sick and tired of the other side constantly doing it, because I knew a lot of people that were there in the crowd, and they're good Americans, patriotic, that love this country. I know there is...
Yep. A lot of good people there, but there are a lot of bad ones mixed in there too. Democrats, you should be very afraid of 2024.
Public service announcement. Whenever you see me with this Tupac hoodie on, I'm finna say some real ass shit, okay? Let's make that known first. Bitch, I was a Trump supporter then, and I'm a Trump supporter now. I don't give a fuck who know about it. I don't give a fuck how you feel about it. I don't give a fuck what your political views are and how you feel like he's a racist. I don't give a fuck. I heard it before, like when he was president and he was doing like amazing ass shit, making the country run the right fucking way. But it was like a crime to fucking admit that he was running the fuck out of this bitch. I'm done with that, because I realized that there's a lot of robot, dumb, blind motherfuckers walking around that don't realize what the fuck going on. So now I'm not scared to say that I am a Trump supporter, always gonna be a motherfucking Trump supporter. I don't give a fuck how you feel about it. I do not give a fuck. Now, I was one of them people too once upon a time. When Kanye was running around with Trump, I could not understand that for the life of me. I'm like, what the fuck would he be running around with Trump? Like, until I fucking start doing my own research, which the fuck I keep telling y'all to do. Trump is not the fucking enemy, bro. Trump is actually on the fucking right side of the fence. You motherfuckers is just so blind, y'all don't see what the fuck is really going on, bro. Like, most of y'all just watch the news, and that's where y'all get all your information from. The news, when he was walking around telling y'all that that's fake news, it is, y'all. It's propaganda to fucking brainwash y'all, bro. Like, I hate that, like, I'm one of these people now, because we are the people that sound fucking crazy. Like, oh my God, y'all, this shit is so damn... I'm gonna just say that if I could go down there and motherfucking riot for them trying to arrest Trump, I would. I'm gonna bop one of them little news reporter bitches right in their shit. I feel like this is your president. Yep. And I'm gonna stick beside him. Donald Trump is my motherfucking president. I don't give a fuck who y'all elect. Y'all look at Trump president. Look at Biden. I will put my motherfucking president up against that sleep motherfucker any day. Any day. Any motherfucking day. Wait till y'all realize that Trump was never the problem. Oh my God. It's just fucked up that by the time y'all wake up, it'd be too late. Most of the time when motherfuckers start finding out shit, it'd be too late. It'd be too late, because nobody cracks open a book. Nobody digs deep and really find out what's going on. They just cut the TV on and let the program them. And that's what they believe. That's what they walk around screaming. That's what they stand by. Like, I'm not of this world. Like, that's what I'm starting to realize. Like, I'm one of them people that was sent here for like the greater good. Like, I'm not of this world. I'm nothing like y'all, bro. I'm nothing like you. You know what blows my mind? When 9 out of 10 when people say they don't like Trump or they don't support Trump, and I be like, why you don't like Trump? Like, tell me honestly why you don't like Trump. The first thing out they fucking mouth is he's a racist. Bitch, we all a little racist. Everybody in the world is a little racist. All of us go places and say shit about the other race. Everybody is a little fucking racist. It's in our DNA, each and every last one of us. It's in us to stand with your people. Let me tell you something I hear my fiance say all the time. If you walk into a room full of white people and there's one black person, by nature, you're going to go over there and introduce yourself to that black person first because you're going to be like, oh, that's me. If a white person walk in a room full of black people, they're going to naturally zero in on the other white person. We all are a little fucking racist by nature. Come with something else. Come with something else. Yet y'all over here fucking starving and poor, and Biden is fucking giving all the fucking money y'all going to work and earning to another fucking country. Make it make sense. That's like me watching my own kids starve in this house, but I'm making sure Becky down the street make sure her kids eat, and making sure the kids around the corner eat, and going up to the school giving out free food, and then coming home and my fucking kids are starving. Make it make sense. Y'all elected that motherfucker. So stand beside him. Stand beside him. The fuck? I'm done acting like, well, I'm just gonna fall in line and act like I'm a Trump hater too. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Best thing I ever did was went on a spiritual journey, bro, because I done tapped so deep into myself. I don't give a fuck what somebody else think about me. I don't give a fuck. Unfollow me. Say that bitch is crazy. I don't want nothing to do with her. Good. I don't want to be around motherfuckers like y'all anyway. I don't want to be around a weak-minded motherfucker that's just going along with whatever is popular. Get away from me. I'm about to go buy Make America Great Again hat and wear that bitch around because I want all smoke. I want to smoke with whoever. What? You know what? Fuck. Because now that motherfuckers call themselves arresting Trump, I don't give a fuck who know what no more. You hear me? So anybody that want the motherfucking smoke can get it. Anybody in my comments talking shit can get. You gonna be so mad you said something to me about Trump. Because that's how motherfucking mad I am that they trying to arrest him. Okay? I'm gonna been took my frustration out on you. So your best bet is just don't even say nothing. Don't even say nothing to me, bro.
Yep. Boy, are they waking up from every freaking angle. Everyone. Every one of them. Yep. Why is the cop from January 6th standing in New York with Robert De Niro? You know, Robert De Niro, the actor who was involved with human trafficking and prostitution in another country. He was the head of it. Yeah, that same Robert De Niro. Here we go.
And everybody is hyper focused on this guy right here, who is the guy standing behind Robert De Niro, who is right here. Does that guy look familiar? That is this guy, former Metropolitan Police Department officer Michael Ferrone, who has testified before Congress about the riot that happened on January 6th. Why is he there? Is it the same? It is the same guy. Apparently, the Biden campaign dispatched him with Robert De Niro and two of the former police officers who were Michael Pennone and Harry Dunn. This is Trump's hush money trial with like Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen and all that crap. Why is this guy there? I understand Robert De Niro, like he's Hollywood and you want to push a certain narrative, but why is this guy there and his buddy? That's fucking weird. And everybody is hyper focused on this guy right here, who is the guy standing behind Robert De Niro, who is right here.
Yeah. Yep. Script Keeper says, I'm going to unload everything I have since 2018. A lot of these actors have family high up in the military. So, okay, I'm trying really hard to remain skeptical here, but it's becoming more difficult every day. Kevin Hogg, father of David Hogg, did not work as a former FBI agent. He worked for a defense contractor that specializes in performing crisis operation simulations. And Adam Lanz is David Hogg's. So the same kid who supposedly shot up Sandy Hook is the son of a defense contractor and is now pushing anti-gun measures as David Hogg. Yep. And I said I did a podcast on Adam Lanz being David Hogg about 2 years ago, and YouTube took that channel. So glad that I am not the only one who sees it. Yep. All right. The nightmare that is the King James Version Strong's Concordance. Here's one that might hit a little bit below the belt, you might think, but listen clearly.
Christians need to understand just how destructive the King James Version and Strong's Concordance and they're related, how destructive they really are. My name's Torsten Moritz. I happen to be a biblical scholar. Now, there's no problem with being an amateur. In most areas of life, every human being is an amateur, but we've got to know our limits. It is kind of heartbreaking when you watch people feel so strongly about what they believe, are so insecure that they attack any scholar just for being a scholar, and then they use amateurish tools to try and make their point. And then the many who may look in and listen to that conversation don't know what to do with that. I will first give you some context to do with the King James Version and Strong's Concordance, and then I will tell you what makes them so very destructive. My main beef with the King James Version isn't even that it's linguistically so inferior, which it certainly is. It uses something called formal equivalence, and there is no language on earth that functions like that. But my main issue is a different one. In those days, in the early 1600s, the King of England was also the head of the church, and the bishops were considered the king's bishops. And consequently, when the king commissioned a new translation, he mandated that translation would reflect that way of being church that they had at the time, that was the major political instrument for controlling the people. The even bigger translation principle than formal equivalence was the king's mandate that the picture of the church resulting from the new translation had to reflect like a mirror the church as it existed in his day. It was a big problem for the king and the bishops and the other church leaders that the New Testament in Greek, the original New Testament, had no room for church offices like the ones they were holding as appointed by the king. What to do? Well, you have to translate in such a way that that problem is fixed. And now you end up with bishops, for instance. The Greek word episkopos, that in Greek in the first century never meant bishop, now means bishop. When Ephesians 4 mentions pastor as one gift, not office, among many, suddenly that gift gets transformed into an office and gets elevated above the other. So now you have a pastor. When Jesus announces to the world that through him the kingdom of God was materializing at that time, that is a problem on two fronts, right? Because the king actually lived in the 1600s, the king who commissioned that translation. So you want to have the kingdom at that time, not in the first century. And secondly, announcing that's not good enough. We need to turn that into preaching. So every time the New Testament talks about announcing the kingdom of God, many of our translations end up telling us that the kingdom of God is being preached. And preaching is something that those pastors do. How convenient. There are people in the comments who keep telling me the whole time, I see it black and white, it's right there. Are you dumb? Can't you see it? Go back to your milk and cookies. And when these changes couldn't fully be accomplished by quote unquote translation, you add to that a study Bible that will explain to you what the text means. And what it really means is not what it meant at the time. It means what the church authorities were happy with in the early 1600s. Does it surprise you that members of the original translation committee in the 1600s were promised higher positions in the church hierarchy? Does it surprise you that the bishops wanted to and had to and insisted on approving every aspect of the translation? Does it surprise you that insecure people today, guys mostly in my experience from the comments, who feel the need to submit to powers, love that kind of thing, hang on to it in their insecurity, and then weaponize it against people who have a problem with it? 130 some years ago, an American theologian had the horrible idea of creating a particular kind of concordance. A concordance is a listing of biblical words and where they occur. What he and his committee did was to tag the Hebrew and Greek words used in the Bible, tag those to the English words used in, guess what, the King James Version. So immediately you end up with a deeply biased concordance that is not worth anything. Well, to be fair, a concordance still helps you find those Greek and Hebrew words, but then you have to go and do the work yourself. Now, what people who want to play Greek and Hebrew on, frankly, an amateurish level. And remember, the problem is not being an amateur. The problem is not knowing your limits. What they do is they go to Strong's as their cheat sheet. So when a theologian who knows the languages comes along and says something that they don't like, then they hold up the cheat sheet and basically say, it's right here in black and white. Because all this isn't bad enough, Strong also added a dictionary in 1890. Now, people need to understand that dictionaries may be great for learning a language that you don't know, but they're not good for interpretation. They're actually post-interpretive. You create a dictionary after you've interpreted the text. Now, if the interpretation's already messed up, which we just talked about, how much more is the dictionary going to be messed up? So now we have a messed up Bible translation and a messed up concordance and a messed up dictionary in the hands of amateurs who think they're professionals. Some of those very people are going to say in the comments that I'm arrogant for saying all these things. But who cares if I'm arrogant? I suggest that you are the problem here. Dear King James and Strong's fans, if you don't know what you're doing, why the heck would you teach churches and Christians? For those who are interested in breaking free from this nonsense, have a look at my playlist in the profile. It's called Hermeneutics 101. You don't need to know the word. You don't need to know hermeneutics. The whole playlist is about introducing it to you. See ya.
Interesting. I told everybody King James Bible is the only one that I won't pick up, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. Catholic influence, crown influence. You know, one of the main reasons that King James wanted the Bible rewritten was so that he could divorce. But in order to eliminate one thing, you have to remove about 80 other things. And that began the spiral downfall of the book that we know as King James Bible. My opinion. Now, you can love your King James Bible all you want. But I would tell you, get a Geneva or older. You know, in Ethiopian would be even better. And learn. Yeah. Lisa says, Wendy Bell is on fire. Tell us what you really think of Biden. This is truth. I'm glad people are finally saying it like this.
You can't speak, you can't walk. So let's just drop the gloves and be real for a moment, okay? I find you disgraceful. You are a corrupt, lying, farcical shell of a human being. You sold out our national security to enrich yourself and your family. Your son is a tragic disgrace. And isn't it sad that some of us actually feel sorry for the guy? Because all he probably ever really wanted was for you to love him. But you love something else more. You. And this entire made-up story surrounding you. You capitalized on the deaths of people in your family to strike a sympathy nerve, to make up for your clear mental mediocrity, but you didn't sell me. And you haven't sold tens of millions of other Americans. Your entire family, sadly, is dysfunction. 9 of you were paid by foreign governments to do what? To look out for the best interests of this great nation? No, to look out for you. Your lasting legacy will be simple: disgrace. The Biden family will go down as the most corrupt first family in American history. That is why children don't like you, why they pull away from you, and why I have never trusted you. Your judgment day is coming, sir. I hope it was all worth it. Lies, cheating, corruption, cons, bribes, deals, the screwing of America, all because of you. We will teach our children about the Biden name. I promise you, our kids and grands will learn from us what never, ever to be like you.
I think that she might hit a nerve. Yeah, this is who was confirmed to our Supreme Court. Republicans Murkowski, Collins, and Romney voted yes to the confirmation. This is just a reminder.
You said to this defendant, for whom you sentenced to only 3 months in prison, that your collection, I'm quoting you, your collection at the time that you were caught was not actually as large as it seems. Then he went on to say the defendant was merely trying to satisfy his curiosity. Curiosity is your word. You were viewing sex acts between children. These kids are 8.
Some of the materials that he was looking at were older teenagers. Sentencing is a discretionary act of a judge, but it's not a numbers game. It's not.
You
I
also said
understand
there's
that
no reason to
Congress.
think that you are a pedophile. Then you apologized to him. You said to him, "This is a truly difficult situation. I appreciate that your family's in the audience. I feel so sorry for them and for you." And then you go on to say, sex offenders are truly shunned in our society. I'm just trying to figure out, Judge, is he the victim here or the victims the victims? You're apologizing to him. You're saying you're sorry for the anguish this has caused him, and also saying you think that sex offenders are truly shunned in our society.
We have judges who are doing their level best to make sure that people are held accountable as they need to be in our society in a fair and just way.
Yeah, tell the kids who were videotaped that. Fucking cunt. Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck, I didn't mean to say that. And I don't use that word often, but that's, yeah. Sorry. I apologize for that. I can't believe that just came out of my mouth. I haven't said that word out loud in years. As somebody who experienced it as a kid, judges like this should be in prison. I'm serious. Judges like this deserve the same sentences that are given to, repeat offenders and everything else, and it's just wrong. I apologize for the use of the C word there. It's damn. But it does. It gets my goat. It's like there's a certain level of stupidity that I'll be open arms for. Okay. But for the most part, I'm very, 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 very cautious with these people because of the fact of their placating, I guess is the word for it. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna who was it just asked that? Craig. I'm gonna pull up which one I got here. As soon as I can get this thing to, wow. Okay, my screens just all went blank. What's up with that? Looks like it might be coming back. Okay, there we go. Okay. What the heck? Okay. Easy Open Bible. Okay. Okay. So I have this one here, which is because it has the apocryphal in it as well. I went with this one here, the complete Ethiopian with 88 books. Okay. But the one that I prefer is, let's see. This is it here. And it's the complete Apocrypha of the Ethiopian Bible Deluxe Collection, Lost Books of Old Geese Bible in English with missing Protestant text as well. And there's a lot of comparison stuff that's in there as well, where they compare certain scripture to other Bibles, which was pretty cool. But yeah, that's the one that I prefer. This one here, and it was done by Ancient Holy Writings. Is who. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Okay, Dean, so I can't argue with your statement. He says they changed Yahuwah's name to God, i.e. title, okay, when he wants his name to be known, okay. Well, the thing is if they're just saying God, then it could pretty much go to anybody. That's why I tell people be careful with the amen word, because then you're acknowledging that the God that you spoke at the beginning is Amun Ra in the end. So you just gave your prayer to somebody who doesn't matter, inconsequential, is incapable of helping and assisting you. And Yahuwah's name is it was in the Bible for a reason, and they removed it over 6,000 times. They removed it from the Bible, replaced it with Lord. And what does Lord mean? Baal. Lord means Baal. Baal, whatever you want to call him, Baal, Baal, whatever. So that's why I end my prayers with your will be done. When Jesus, when Yeshua gave us the Lord's Prayer, he didn't include an amen at the end. You know what I mean? So it's your will be done, or let it be so. Because we're asking him to let it be so. When we're reaching out to him in moments of frustration, anger, PTSD, depression, everything, all the way down the line, okay, we're asking for an action, right? So let it be so. When David cleaned off the head of Goliath, okay, there wasn't an amen at the end of that. As he was swinging the sword of that big ass Philistine, Philistine, okay, when he hoisted that sword above his head and it began to lower upon the neck of Goliath, he said, "Let it be so." Yeah, but LLCC, the question is, which Bible are you looking at? Okay, because my Geneva Bible does not have an amen there. Okay, at the end of Revelations, okay, there's a written amen at the end of the book of Revelations. Okay, but in my Geneva Bible, it doesn't have that. They're giving the word to somebody else. And that's where we're not going to do it. We're not going to allow them to divert our prayers. And we're not going to allow them to corrupt our prayers. Let it be so. If you're asking for something, it's let it be so. And in most cases, when we're praying, we are asking. We're constantly asking for things, always. Whether it's protection for our families, protection for our friends, protection for our president, so on and so forth, all the way down the line. We're asking for things. So let's activate that. Let's put that into action. And let it be so. Or your will be done. Okay? Because we're leaving it up to the Lord, up to our God, to our Creator. Okay? To make the choice as to whether he believes that we deserve what we're asking for. It's not our choice if we deserve it. We ask him if he believes that we deserve it, then we will receive it. If he doesn't believe we deserve it, then he's going to ignore it. He's not going to answer it. You know? Correct, SM. The Geneva says, so be it. Like it's like at the when the Pharaoh would give an order, so let it be written, so let it be done. Okay, an affirmation. Okay, and it's yeah, there's a whole lot there, just a whole lot there. So many things that we don't see, so many things. Yeah. But I hope that answers your question in regards to the Ethiopian Bible. Absolutely 100% worth it. All right. Wall Street Babe says, Prime Minister of Hungary is exposing the document proving George Soros is largely behind the global illegal immigration invasion. Yeah, let's take a listen. Here we go.
Back in 2015, George Soros published his plan, which has now been implemented across the globe to bring millions of illegals into the United States and into Europe. As Hungary's leader Viktor Orban recently pointed out,
I do remember how Mr. George Soros published his plan in a Project Syndicate publication. First, he says very clearly, 2015, EU has to accept at least 1 million asylum seekers annually. Second, he said, adequate financing is critical. And he proposed to issue long-term euro bonds for financing the migration crisis and the migrants' social and welfare taking care when they arrive to the European Union. He said that, quoting them, safe channels must be established for asylum seekers, starting with getting them from Greece and Italy to their destination countries.
Viktor Orban, why they don't like him.
Yep, Viktor Orban, they definitely don't like him. He's 100% behind Trump. Robert De Niro gets hammered by Trump supporters after Democrats hold campaign event for Biden outside of Trump trial. Anyone who doesn't see that Democrats only playing campaign strategy is the weaponization of Justice Department is blind. And that's 100% accurate.
Let's go. Are you on You tough kid! You loser! Fuck you! We are gonna fight back! You're trying to do the work! Watch out, guys! We're trying to be gentlemen in this world. You are gangsters! You are gangsters! Step aside, guys! Make a hole! Make a hole! Step aside! You're a softie! Step aside! You're trash! Look at my face! You fucking traitor! You fucking loser! We fucking... Let's go! Hey, De Niro's gonna go to jail. That's why he's so worried. When Trump goes to office, he's done. He's finished. His career's already done, and it's gonna be even more done. We're outside. De Niro's a loser. He's a mook. He's a sucker, and that's why he's running away like a punk. Hey, Robert De Niro's a fucking mook. A traitor. The traitor to the Americans, the Italians, and the Jews. Let's look it up. Google it. Bobby De Niro is the biggest piece of shit in the city. He wants to punch Donald Trump in the face. I challenge Robert De Niro to punch me in the face anywhere, any fucking time. MAGA. Fuck De Niro.
You think people are catching on yet? They won't be able to walk down the streets. Okay. And here's where this piece of crap, and I'm calling him a piece of crap because he is a piece of crap. Anybody involved in any type of trafficking, prostitution, human trafficking, child sex trafficking, you're a piece of shit. Period. I had a great day the day that I burned Goodfellas and all the other movies that I had. Casino, I had a great day that day. I actually felt really good. Taking them out to the burn barrel and dropping them in one by one and watching them melt. And understanding that I don't care what this guy plays in, I will never pay a dime to see this fool again. Never, ever, 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 ever. There might have been a day that he might have been a good person. There might have been a day. But it sure ain't today. Okay? When you're trying to cover up what you did, yeah, you don't deserve no respect. Yeah.
This country, our democracy, they are the true heroes.
Okay, Robert, let me remind you of something. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic, you piece of crap.
These guys are the true heroes.
Oh, you mean the true traitors? The true traitors. Because this guy right here was actually walking around with a flag over his shoulder as part of the insurrectionists, as you call them. And another piece of crap over there was hiding in the corner.
They stood and put their lives on the line for these low lives, for Trump. They lied under oath. They lied under oath. Right. Who lied under oath? Excuse me? They lied under oath?
Yes,
what are you saying? They're traitors.
Yes, they are.
You gotta, I don't even know how to deal with you, my friend. I don't even know how to deal
because you couldn't handle the facts there, Mr. De Niro.
They stood there, they didn't have to. And there were other ones in there who probably were in with them a little bit too, and they found a way to get around. Not these guys. They stood there and fought for us, for you. For you.
For themselves. And for the Democratic Party.
No, they fought for you, buddy. You're able to stand right here now.
Only on the streets of New York City, with the car alarm in the background, if you have Robert De Niro.
All right. This young lady, this is Truth Seeker 01011. I love this girl. She puts together some great content. Okay. But she's got her first creeper, and it's not making her life easy. Here we go.
So it's been day 2.5 since we sold our house, moved, and we're in Edmonton, but we're in a camper because I've got dogs that are on the danger list, so we can't rent for the 3 months that we need to. But I just had the funniest thing happen. I went to Canadian Tire in the West End or West Edmonton Mall area, and I had my first run-in with a creeper. And like, I've worked in the patch with all guys for like 15 years, dudes. And I have never, ever met somebody that creeped me out, but this was my first creeper. So let me tell you how that went. Now, if you're wondering why I'm smiling because I met a creeper, it's because I did the same thing to him and creeped him out back. So what happened was I'm in Canadian Tire and I'm just kind of going down every aisle looking at things. And all of a sudden I noticed that there's a guy, the same guy in every aisle that I'm in after I get there, right? And he starts making really weird noises, like picking things up and looking at him like very over dramatic and theatrical. So I'm thinking maybe this guy's not all right in the head, right? Like, but I'm not going to react just now. And so I'm like, hey, I'll just go to the end of the store and then make my way back because, you know, screw it. And so all of a sudden, this guy is following me again. So I'm like, hey, what do I do? Do I tell somebody? No one's going to do anything. Do I scream? Because I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass what people think of me. I'm like, it'll draw attention. He'll freak out. But then I'm like, you know what? It's a public place. I'm going to creep this guy out. I'm going to go redneck feral on him. So I go into the next aisle and I wait at the edge of the aisle and I put my back all the way against like that aisle so he can't really see me. He comes like around the corner, sees me, gets startled, and kind of doesn't know what to do. So he just kind of walks past me as I'm giving him the craziest eyes ever. Like, I'm like, right? So now I am in front of my cart, like pulling my cart, and I'm 2 feet behind this guy, just like he was with me for like many aisles. And I start making the exact same noises. And literally, I followed him for 3 aisles, doing the exact same thing while crazy looking at him, like just like, you know what I mean? Like just psycho eyes. And so he turns around and he's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "I don't know, can you?" I'm like, "You did this to me." I'm like, "I figure I'd just return the favor." And he's like, "What? I didn't do I'm like, "You want to play this game?" I'm like, "Cause we can do it all day." I'm like, "I can turn on my crazy too." So he kind of panics, looks at me like I'm like messed up, puts his stuff down, and just beelines it for the door. Now, about 5-7 minutes later, I got all my stuff, paid for it, went back to my truck. I'm offloading. I look to my right. This dude is like 4 or 5 parking spots in like a Mazda Miata, or I don't know, some little dinky little shit car. And he is taking pictures of me offloading my vehicle, like my cart into my vehicle. So in my head, I'm like, hey, this guy is like clearly insane and he wants to elicit some kind of fear or like some response out of me. And so in my head, I'm like, hey, let's turn this around on him. So I finished loading on my truck. I return the cart, I get in my truck and I reverse out, but I'm like in the parking spot facing forward. So I reversed back into an empty parking spot, got out, and then literally went right behind him in his tiny little Mazda Miata. I've got a lifted like GMC. And I get this close to his ass and I turn on all my lights, high beams, every single light bar I've got. Like it's broad daylight, but it looks even more daylight than it is. This guy gets so creeped out, he starts leaving. You can tell he's just panicking. He's kind of like shaking in his vehicle. And I'm like, okay, screw it. I guess I'm going to find out where you live. I got nothing else to do today. So I start following him. He notices that I'm following him. He starts freaking out, dudes. He was like weaving in and out of traffic. Meanwhile, that's the way I'm going. But I just figured I'd like, screw with his psyche a little bit more. So he starts weaving out of traffic. People are like honking at him. And then he literally almost runs a red light and then turns and goes south. And I just, mind my own business and head north. Anyway, either way, if that creeper sees this, I hope you realize that you messed with the wrong one. So not today, Satan. Not today or ever.
Not today, Satan. Not today. All right. A student at CCS schools is allegedly being denied his diploma until he has a meeting with administrators because he went off script during his graduation speech and discussed his faith.
Class, before another word is to leave my mouth, I must give the honor, the praise, and the glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Who in this very word tells us he is the light, he is the way, truth, and life. Class, anyone in the audience today, I'm here to tell you that if you don't have any of those things in your life, you can't seem to find the answer, that my Lord and Savior is your answer. He will give you the truth, give you the way, and the life. Well, class, the day is here. The day that we thought would never come. The day that your parents constantly asked you to prepare for. The day in which your grandparents said would come all too soon. That day is here. Class, before...
I just wanted to come on here and kind of clear the air on some things because I feel like a lot of the stuff just, I don't know, I feel like it would be best to just everything came from my mouth. 1, Christ is King. I serve him, obviously. 2, currently, I do not have my diploma. I went through, obviously, don't got in here, and then everything that was in the envelope, which is just a bunch of old report cards and ACT reports. I even got this super cute picture of me, but I don't have anything. I don't have a diploma. I'm not sure if everyone has theirs yet. So, if you do, congrats. If you don't, we're right there with you. I don't have it. And I just want to clear the air. I was told beforehand I wasn't allowed to, bring up Christ, that He is the way, truth, and life in my speech. I did it anyways. And after the speech was over, one of the principals came in, tapped me on the shoulder, very politely and professionally told me that I was gonna have to go in front of the board and explain what I did because I went off script. And I just want to say, no bad blood with Campbell County or the principals. They're doing their job. They're doing their job. And I ask that you guys would not go and bash them because they're literally doing their job. If anyone's in the wrong, it's me. I went against school policy, school rules. I went against that because I serve a higher power, because I serve Christ. I do no one's bidding but God. All right. So if anyone's in the wrong, I am. I deserve to be punished. Also, there's been a lot of people who are saying that when you go to stand for the board, we want to go there with you. If you're gonna go with me and do whatever you got to do while I go stand in front of the board, I also just want to say, if you're going in support of Micah and you're going to protest the school, don't go. Just don't go. Stay home. But if you're going in defense of Christ and His kingdom, and in defense of His message and the gospel, please, I beg of you to go. But my message was not to be disrespectful. It was not to do anything except for express my love of Christ and how much He can change lives. But just recap, don't got my diploma. I will have to go in front of the board, talk to them, explain to them what I did. Christ is King. And if you're going to go and in support of me, like you guys have been saying you've been doing, please just go in support of Christ and not Micah. I'm so happy you guys enjoy my speech too. People call me Sir Yap a lot, so I'm happy that everybody enjoyed my speech. But I'm just hoping that this clears the air on a lot of the stuff. That's why I'm putting this on the good old TikTok, just so this would, get my story out there for, the room starts going crazy. So that's all I had.
Well, kid, you should have people standing for you and supporting you, okay? Because you followed your convictions. You shouldn't feel like they're going to do wrong because of the fact that they're standing up for your convictions. That's the first thing to say. The second thing is, I think it's out of the school board's hands when you graduate. You graduated. Give the kid his diploma and get the hell out of his way. I have a feeling that he's going to make changes in the world. Listen to this.
I'm finance director for Donald Trump in Mississippi, so we raise money. I've talked to a number of very wealthy individuals that God has blessed that say, I can't give money to Donald Trump because the FBI would show up at my door. Wow. And think of what you just said. If you make a legitimate, honest campaign contribution to the Republican nominee for president, the FBI will come to your door. And they acknowledge that's a reality.
In the United States of America.
In the United States of America. I'm finance director.
Yep. We've been told all of this. So, Fanoni here, he gets called out too.
Fanoni the traitor right here, guys. You know who lost their life was Ashley Babbitt. She was murdered, an unarmed veteran. Don't start crying on me, Fanoni. Don't start crying on me now. Absolute sellout. Absolute sellout. Traitor to your country.
They won't be able to walk anywhere. This guy stepped in it. Didn't expect this. Prank disaster. This is a total disaster. Here's one for you.
Babe, guess what just happened?
Here I go. What? Why are you recording?
Because
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. So I was just waiting to pay for my food.
Okay.
And this lady came up to me and said that she thought my eyes were beautiful and asked if I was single.
Oh my gosh. What did you say?
I said, I'm sorry I'm married.
So you're sorry that you're married?
No, I was just
Is
saying,
it an
like,
inconvenience to you to be married?
I was just telling her
Would
that
you
I
have
was
gone
married.
with her if you weren't married? If you were single,
No.
you're just so sorry
I just-
for yourself to be married. Did you
Anyway.
tell her about your sleep apnea? Did you tell her about your obstructive sleep apnea? Did you tell her, oh, by the way, if you go to bed with me, I'm going to be like, while we sleep, you're going to hear that all freaking long. And then if I wear my mask, which is far and few between, you'll just hear the all freaking night. Did you tell her about that? Did you tell her that it takes you 2 hours to use the bathroom? Did you tell her that you don't remember any place you set down any belonging of yours ever? You can be like, babe, where's my shoes? And you just took them off. And you'll still be like, babe, where's my shoes? I don't know. I don't remember the last time I wore them. Let me go check. Did you tell her that?
I didn't.
Did you tell her all these fucking things about you? Go back. Which one is she?
I didn't tell her any.
So that didn't go well. A very important message from Lynn Wood. Well, Lynn, you've been out of the picture for a while.
People come down to my home in the Low Country. They represent themselves to be patriots, to fix this election. And they are traitors. And now I know then they fooled me. And if they fooled me, they fooled a lot of people. And I'm going to set the record straight and expose every damn one of them. Do you hear that, Michael T. Flynn? Sidney Powell, Patrick Byrne goes on a video and says, I'm going to own your precious tamale and turn it into a pig farm. Come on down, Patrick Byrne, because these people are never going to let it happen. And neither am I. You insult my God with your atheism. You insult my God with your 7 rays of light. And it's time to wake up and face the truth. These people are not your friends. Ignore them. Shame them. And Flynn thinks he's going to be president because he thinks if he can get the cheat machines, they'll cheat and let him win. The deep state in this country, just like the deep state in communist China, just like the deep state in any free country, is run by the Illuminati. And it's time to call it out. It's one world government. That's communism. You don't have a choice. You're either going to be free or you're going to live under communism, one world government. God gave you the freedom. Communism is rooted in Satanism. It is good versus evil, God versus the devil. It's not a matter of, are we going to win? God has already won. He won at Calvary.
I also said that is the 2 times that I believe that God shed a tear was the day that they decided to crucify his son. Yep, he shed a tear. And then after the crucifixion, he cried because he knew in that moment, in that instant, that he won. Yeah. Yep. Straight up. Here's a good question for you.
It's interesting that young white men are only 10% of the population, but 98% of the military deaths. So much for that privilege.
Let me play that one more time.
It's interesting that young white men are only 10% of the population, but 98% of the military deaths. So much for that privilege.
Yeah, that's a big truth right there. Yep. The best that Biden could do is roll out a washed-up actor. Yep, talking about Robert De Niro.
Biden making this a campaign event after months of weaponizing the legal system against President Trump, because Joe Biden's numbers are in the tank. The headline for today in Politico very simply said, Dems in freak out over Joe Biden. Joe Biden is losing nationally. He's losing in every single battleground state, and President Trump's numbers continue to rise. And the best that Biden can do is roll out a washed-up actor. And don't worry, my remarks will be shorter than the Irishman. I won't make you suffer for 3 hours. But the best they can do is roll out a washed-up actor. Last week, President Trump spoke in the Bronx, where had over 25,000 people show up to rally around him. And the best the Biden campaign could do was put out a web video with Robert De Niro. There is nothing behind the Biden campaign. Their numbers are in the toilet. Kamala Harris is a terrible alternative, and it's all an attempt to try to turn around the Biden campaign. Now, what's happening here in Manhattan? We're in closing arguments for the Biden trial. We've been here for 6 weeks. Nobody has said that President Trump did anything wrong. We have a highly conflicted judge with an unconstitutional gag order, and everybody sees this case for what it is. In fact, the New York Post this morning, with the headline for Jonathan Turley, as Trump trial comes to close, DA's flimsy case is nothing to brag about. Everybody knows this case is complete garbage. President Trump did nothing wrong. This is all politics. If you don't think this is politics, why did the Democrats wheel out a retread like Robert De Niro to try to change the subject? You could see the look on the Biden campaign staffers' faces. They knew this was a bad idea. They didn't want to be here. But somebody at Central Command told them that everything is going down the tubes for Joe Biden.
It's a good question. Everything's going down the tubes. Yep. Coca-Cola insider speaks out about company secrets. Uh-oh. Yeah, Jesse Waters about to lay it all out. Here we go.
My next guest used to work for the Coca-Cola company, and he says he saw firsthand how the food and pharma industries rigged the system to their advantage. Kaylee Means is now the founder of TrueMed and joins me now. But before we get started, we just reached out to Coca-Cola a little while ago for comment, and we haven't heard back. So what do you have to tell us about what's going on inside Coca-Cola?
Well, first, Jesse, God bless you for paying attention and drawing attention to the most important issue in the world, which is that we're getting sicker, fatter, more depressed, more infertile because of food. 8 of the 10 leading causes of Americans today are directly tied to food, reversible by food. But we really are gaslighted from that fact, and it's because of a rigged system. And 3 particular levels I saw is that food companies directly pay medical groups. Coke has funneled millions of dollars, and the American Academy of Diabetes, the American Academy of Pediatrics, who said, the American Nutrition Association, they've accepted millions of dollars from Coke. And what does that buy? When we have diabetes water, sugar consumption going up among children 100x in 100 years, we have silence from the American Diabetes Association on sugary drinks when 25% of teenagers now are pre-diabetic. They're also, as you've very aptly pointed out, research institutions. And what does that get? What is that 11 times more from food than the NIH? What does that get? It gets the doctors on the USDA nutrition guidelines. Right now, shamefully, and I believe this is the most shameful, violent policy in America, the USDA, our own government, says that a 2-year-old, it's okay for them to have 10% of their diet as added sugar. It's a systematic rigging of the institutions of trust. I mean, this is not complicated. And earlier in my career, I saw this. Unimpressive PR executives sit around conference rooms and ask, how do we rig? How do we gaslight people, in an Orwellian way from not believing what's right in front of us? 80% of American adults are overweight or obese. 50% of adults have prediabetes or diabetes. We are being brought to our knees by preventable metabolic dysfunction. I think the real issue here, Jesse, as you alluded to, is pharma is standing silent, and the medical institutions are standing silent because they profit from people being sick, and they're getting sick because of food.
They're getting sick because of food and beverages. Yeah. All right, continuing on with the Trump stuff. Trump campaign press secretary, Cleveland, New Hampshire. Joe Biden sending his campaign outside of his criminal courthouse is a full-blown concession that this trial is a witch hunt that comes from Joe Biden. Yep.
What you just heard from is desperate and failing and pathetic campaign who knows that they are losing. Joe Biden's sending his campaign outside of this criminal courthouse. It is a full-blown concession that this trial is a witch hunt that comes from the top, comes from Joe Biden, and he is using a far-left district attorney in this city, Alvin Bragg. This case would have been laughed out of any other courtroom in America. Legal scholars on both sides of the aisle, even liberal legal scholars, agree there is no crime, there is no case. But Joe Biden knew he could use Alvin Bragg, who is sitting in that courthouse today, wasting away the tax dollars of the hardworking people of this city to go after Joe Biden's political opposition. And the man overseeing this case is a corrupt and highly partisan and crooked judge who is highly conflicted for reasons that President Trump can't even talk about, because this judge imposed an unconstitutional gag order on the former president of the United States and the leading frontrunner in this election. This is a disgrace. President Trump has been locked up in that courtroom for 6 weeks, but guess what? The American people see through this witch hunt and this scam, and that's why President Trump continues to rise in the polls. That's why he pulls a crowd of more than 25,000 in the deep blue Bronx. That's why he pulls a crowd of more than 100,000 in deep blue New Jersey. Everywhere he goes, everyday Americans, not elitist, out-of-touch Hollywood actors like Robert De Niro, who have no idea the real problems that people in this city and across this country are facing. President Trump is backed by the hardworking men and women of this country, and I could not help but laugh when Joe Biden's spokesperson actually came out here and said, accused President Trump of being the threat to democracy. Joe Biden is the real threat to democracy. He is weaponizing our justice system. Look at all of you. This is a communist show trial. There are real problems in America, and you are all out here covering this because Joe Biden is weak. He's pathetic. He's a threat to democracy, not only with this weaponization of our justice system, but with his wide open border invasion that is allowing a mass invasion of illegal people into this country. Terrorists, criminals, our economy is in shambles. We are heading towards World War III. Those are the issues real Americans care about. That is why President Trump is going to win this election. And ultimately, he will be vindicated of this sham crooked trial because he has the truth on his side and he's an innocent man.
Yep. Just keeps going down. Just keeps going down. Keep going down. Yeah. And I'm not even going to play this guy because he's a lying sack of crap. You just can't waste it. All right, here's Don Jr.
Blanche summed it up best. If there was an MVP, if there was a GOAT of liars, it is Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is the embodiment of reasonable doubt. And this entire case hinges on someone who has quite literally lied to every single person and body he's ever been in front of. He's lied before, I believe it's every branch of Congress. He's lied before his wife. He's lied to every body he's ever been in front of. He's lied before, I believe it's every branch of Congress. He's lied before his wife. He's lied to bankers. He's lied to all of you in the press. And he's actually lied to that very jury. And yet, he's the only person of relevance that this entire case hinges on. We understand that this is a political persecution. That was evidenced today. Today, by the Biden campaign themselves holding a rally here. They bring in Robert De Niro, who was shot down, but apparently he needs attention because it's been a while since he's cranked out a good movie. But think about it. They bring out one actor. Remember in 2020 when every A-list actor in the world showed up for Joe Biden? They lined up one by one. Now they get one person. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson disavowed, said, hey, listen, I regret voting for him. Cardi B, all the people that lined up behind Joe Biden understand that he has failed our country. He has failed the citizens of this nation. Frankly, he has failed the world. But the fact that they're holding a rally across the seat from this very witch hunt, right across the street, tells us exactly what we all knew all along, that it is a political persecution. It is a witch hunt. There is a reason one of the people sitting at that desk was the number 3 person in Joe Biden's DOJ. I know my father is not allowed to say Matthew Colangelo in his name, right? Because he's been gagged. The president of the United States is not allowed to exercise his First Amendment rights in New York City in this day and age. Does that not tell us all everything we need to know about what we're witnessing? It's a witch hunt. They're using it as a political fundraiser, just like this very judge's daughter has profited from this very case. It is an insanity. It is an embarrassment. It's an abomination to democracy and to our republic. And yet it continues. Everyone in this case is conflicted, and it hinges on one man who's not just a liar, convicted, someone who's lost his law license, has been disbarred, someone who served jail time for lying before congressional bodies. And that's it. That's where we are today in America. This is a sham. It's insane, and it needs to stop, because if you think for 1 second that this ends with Donald Trump, you have not been watching what's going on in the Democrat Party in the last few years. They want power at any and all costs. Your rights be damned. That can't stand. That can't happen. This sham prosecution, this insanity, this abomination has to stop now.
He ain't lying. He ain't lying. Yep. It's just, yep. Okay, we got that one. We just covered that one. All right, here we go. The older millennial.
So the White House special counsel has now confirmed that the Hunter Biden laptop and all the information contained on it is real. And they did that by entering it as evidence against Hunter Biden. See, you wouldn't be able to do that unless that laptop had been confirmed as credible. You wouldn't be able to do that unless the information on that laptop, every single bit of it, had been confirmed to be credible. But here's the quote from the White House special counsel. The defendant's laptop is real and will be introduced as a trial exhibit, and it contains significant evidence of the defendant's guilt. There you go, liberals. This shit ain't up for debate anymore. That laptop was Hunter Biden's. The information on that laptop was Hunter Biden's. All the evidence of guilt that Hunter Biden had on that laptop for various crimes is true. It will be used as evidence in the trial against Hunter Biden. And according to the White House special counsel, that evidence is significant. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's really fucking sad that we had to wait 4 years to prove this, because we all knew it was true from the beginning. But you know what? Better late than never. Now let's get this Hunter Biden trial started.
Yep. That's one that I want to see. Yep. Civil War. Yeah, you know that came out, right?
So the White House special counsel.
Every day I get people coming up to me, anxious about, what if Trump loses? First of all, he's not losing. Even if they cheat, there's no way. It's trust me. But should that happen, then we go to civil war. That's just the way it's going to be. That's the nature of the way it's set up. But fear not, because the civil war, this one, will last maybe 15, 20 minutes. Why? Because the other side are nothing but weak, soft, delicate pussies. This morning is a perfect example, the confirmation of what I speak of. Once again, some little fucking pussy vandalized my vehicle again. Now, they didn't do it in front of me or confront me with their bullshit. They hide behind the bushes and wait. Oh, he left. Let's throw stuff at his car. You see what I'm saying? They're pussies. They don't have what we have. So fear not, my friends. It won't last long, and we will prevail.
And I hate to say he's right, but he's right. Yep. So Ron Alerts put out that breaking the U.S. Secret Service has met with New York officials to discuss preparations for former President Donald J. Trump being taken into custody and placed behind bars. According to CBS News, this is still developing. CBS News, I can't wait to see you guys sitting behind bars. That would be really nice. Yeah.
Where is it a bunch of bunk?
Well, let me just tell you that QAnon is tied to information and it comes out of a group called the Army Northern Virginia. Okay?
Yep.
Now, this is a group of military intelligence specialists of over 800 people that advise the president.
And so
the president doesn't have a lot of confidence in the CIA or even the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, as much anymore. So he relies on these real operators. Most of them are special operations type of people.
Yeah.
And so this is where Q picks up and gets some of their information, as I understand it.
or is it a bunch of bunk?
Well, let me.
Yeah. All for a LARP. Wow, we went through my whole list. Look at that. Well, let's see if anything new came out first. Let's see. Okay, breaking Chase Bank building explodes in downtown Youngstown, Ohio. People are missing under the rubble. Explosion occurred on 5/28/24 at 14:45:06. Do I see the number 44 Huntington? Very interesting. This occurred in Ohio, which is the state that removed Biden from the ballot. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy, huh? Yeah. Here we go with another one. A military F-35 fighter aircraft has crashed at Albuquerque International Airport, causing a huge explosion. Currently, numerous emergency crews are on scene after a military F-35 fighter jet crashed at or near Albuquerque International Airport, causing a huge explosion with dust rising into the air. Myself witnessed this crash after noting a large fireball and black smoke rising in the sky, followed by dozens of emergency vehicles heading to the scene immediately. I knew something wasn't right. Local media are reporting that the F-35 jet appeared to have issues shortly after takeoff, but there is no official word yet on what caused the crash. The pilot reportedly ejected and is being treated for possible injuries. It's still a developing situation, and that's a mess. That's a mess. Shame. What a shame. Oh yeah, Robert De Niro and his pedophile sex trafficker pal Peter Nygaard. Yep, we know. We know. Only one reason he's being protected this way.
So I'll take all mine, raise up my drink to the ones that give it all for the U.S. of A. Say I'm down for the families, Lord give them strength. There's a folded flag in a frame, and I just want to say thanks on Memorial Day.
Yeah, and that was it. A couple of days ago there, I think it was Daytona. Was it the Daytona 500 or something like that? That was? Yeah. Just announced the Supreme Court ruled today that Texas SB 4 law is constitutional, which grants Texas the right to detain, arrest, and expel anyone crossing the Texas border illegally. Big round of applause, folks. The majority on the SCOTUS acting like one. Yep. Finally. Yep. Right, so we just read on that. While Americans' elections are so rigged, District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., non-citizen voting, education, virtual training. This is by the Board of Elections in the District of Columbia. Illegal aliens and other non-citizens can vote. Register the same day. Wow.
Non-citizen voting education virtual training. Did you guys know this is a thing? District of Columbia, Board of Elections, April 10th, 2024. Again, this is by the Board of Elections in the District of Columbia. Who are we? An independent agency of the District of Columbia government, nonpartisan, no political affiliations. Non-U.S. citizen residents can vote in the District of Columbia. Future's looking bright. Future is looking bright. Oh, but wait, there is more. Can I register to vote same day for early voting or primary election? Yes. Yes. Exclamation point. Yes. Here is your non-citizen voter registration application. I have no words. These documents were released to Judicial Watch via a FOIA request, which granted them 13 pages of records, which, like I just showed you, explain that illegal aliens and other non-citizens can vote and how they can register to vote in local elections. The district's action was opposed by congressional Republicans, but they failed to overturn the measure.
Yeah. And the thing is DC is not part of the United States. So I kind of don't care about what they do in DC. I do care about what I do care about the rest of the country, though. You know? Yeah. I'm going to stay away from Randy Quaid. Yeah, it looks like I've pretty much gone through all that. Well, let's see. I've been talking about this before. It was cool. They all know doubles, doppelganger, clones.
Matt, my boy, so I'm going to break it down real quick. So you remember the original, right? The original was this. 4-seater, looks like Oswald shoots him in the head. Now the new film, because I did a book report on Zapruder film, the new film looks like the driver turns around and shoots Kennedy in the head. I even saw a video where it looked like Jackie Onassis popped his fucking head off. But if you look, they all got doubles. They all got doubles. They have doubles that run around and say they are them. Hold on, I'll show you another. Dun, 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 dun. If you look right here, this is not them. If you look down here, that is them. If you look over here, that is not them. And the optics is, that's who I was talking about was alive. And another one, we've all been lied to our whole lives. Matt, my boy, so I'm going to break it down.
Yeah. A lot there. A whole lot. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to end it for today. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you guys got something out of what we come up with. I'll be back with you again tomorrow at 11. Remember, Yahuwah, our Creator, He loves you. His Son, the Christ, He loves you. And so do I. Peace.